They hate when you elevate. They stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, yeah. I had to elevate. I'm way too fly, yeah, I'm feeling myself. Ain't no chance I'm coming down, no. Got a soul view to myself, yeah. Why would I give it up? Why do they wanna come take my place? I work too hard for it, don't need a replacement. This my vocation, now I got rollies all in rotation. Hop on a jet just to take a vacation. Remember the moments was trapped in the basement. Now the hard work is all taking me places. Water all blood like we tried to like I'm rich and I'm famous. Don't see the grind that I know that it came with. I ain't make it this far for myself, yeah. I had to prove to everybody else, I had to set them straight, yeah. I had to ball, so I had to renovate, I know. They hate when you elevate. They stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate. Elevate, elevate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had to elevate. Ooh, yeah. Why they wanna put me down? So much drip, yeah, I almost drowned in it. I can't come it down. Yeah, I'm way too fired up. I can't slow it down. Ooh, yeah, yeah. I see the flashing lights. Make sure the fashion right, yeah. I'm in my bag tonight, yeah. Ooh, I might just pull up before it. Watch out, the engine is roaring.
Salute everybody in the building. Salute, man. Salute. Round of applause for you guys, for yourselves, and thank you for showing up. You know how we about to carry it. We're going to talk about that boxing this morning, ain't we? Ain't we? But more importantly, you guys know this is not like me on Friday. I did take the day off. You know, I chilled with the family last night. There wasn't no restrictions on hanging out with my family. You know, we were sipping slow, talking ish, you know what I mean? Talking about it. And didn't want to put no pressure on myself to get up 4:30 this morning, right? And go give the man his time. But we are here, man. We here, and we're here for the build, man. I hope everybody enjoyed your holiday. Hope your families is all doing great. Hope nobody didn't eat too much Thanksgiving dinner, you know what I'm saying, or whatever have you. For the people who don't celebrate the holiday, you know, I hope that you guys enjoyed the day off from work, right? Federally recognized. Hope that your job paid you, right? Not to be there. I hope you got paid and that you were able to enjoy your day off, right? And eat well and do whatever else you do. Catch football, whatever you was doing yesterday. But of course, as we are, shout out to right hand handed down from Brooklyn. Yeah, we letting the people stack in just a little bit, but shout out to Eastside Easy. Salute, King. Salute to you, AK Crowder, of course, man. Of course, AK Crowder. Salute to you. Sonny Augustine came in a little bit earlier. I don't know if he's still in the building, but I appreciate the blessings from you, my brother. You know what I mean? And of course, we reciprocate that love. You know what I mean? Ditto, King. Ditto. God bless you and your family as well. We got Ray Davis in the building this morning. Ray Davis was able to wake up. Yeah, shout out to Ray Davis, was able to actually be here. Rise and shine, Ray Davis in the building. How you doing, family? Are you there? Ray's quiet again. You never know. You never know what's going on over there. Okay, that being said, right? Did a lot happen. You know, it was Thanksgiving, right? People for the most part were taking the day off and doing their thing, but at the end of the day, you know, Clapback Thursdays is an official day. Here in the boxing space, I think at this point, right, guys? I think we all looking forward to Clapback Thursdays. We look forward to see what Oscar De La Hoya is going to say. Oscar De La Hoya is in the top of the conversations in the boxing space right now, right? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he's been very active this year, and we've celebrated him for that, right? We've celebrated Oscar De La Hoya for what he's brought to the space this year. A lot more interaction, a lot more engagement with the social media space, with the fan base, with the boxing fans out there, and we've all appreciated. But one thing that comes with this social media space is what you say can and will be used against you in the court of public opinion, right? So what's Oscar De La Hoya in the conversation for? Well, let's look coming off of the back end of his first big showcase with Turkey Al-Sheikh and Riyadh Season Latino night. Decent card, right? A decent card that night. We had Arnold Barbosa make some moves forward. We've seen Gilberto Ramirez. We've seen Zerto make moves forward, become a unified champion. We've seen William Zepeda, right? Go at it with Tevin Farmer. Some people say there was some revealing things that came out of that fight. And we looked forward to seeing other things that were going to come out of this event, right? There was already conversations of a 5v5 going on between Oscar De La Hoya and Eddie Hearn, as Oscar's not held his tongue or bit his tongue at all when it comes to communicating and making fun of and holding Eddie Hearn to be accountable for, the way his roster seems to have been on the opposite side of victories this year. And we enjoyed it. We enjoy the comedy, right? We enjoy the comedy. We enjoy the show. That's what he's doing it for. He's bringing attention to Golden Boy, and he's being way more active, right? He is being way more active than he was in years before. And people may have even threw shots at Oscar, saying that Oscar was kind of partying a little bit too much, not really connecting with his fighters. I mean, remember him going back and forth with Ryan Garcia, which looks like it may be restarting again. Maybe not. We don't know yet. We'll see, right? But at the end of the day, Oscar's Clapback Thursdays are becoming infamous. And he had a real profound Clapback Thursday this year, right? A real profound one, right? Let's see here what we got going on here. Right hand downtown to Brooklyn. Salute to you, King, for sure. He said Oscar now calling Floyd his prospect. Man. Yeah, man, a whole lot of talk, man. A whole lot of talk going on here. Oh, Ray Davis, salute to the team out there. Remember to hit that like button and support. Subscribe, definitely, man. What Eastside Easy say, Clapback Thursdays is arguably the most entertaining thing a promoter produced this year. 100% Eastside. And we're going to celebrate him for that, right? We're going to celebrate him for that. Salute to Chris Brooks in the building. Salute Chris Brooks in the building. I think Ray Davis says he's back here now. Hold on. Ray, you in?
I am here. You hear me?
Yeah, no, I hear you now. Definitely. Were you trying to
talk? Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I was trying to talk, man. I could see my. I was like, "What's going on, man?" And I was like, "Yo, I can't see or hear anything. Like, I ain't hear you talking. I'm just seeing your mouth move." Pause. And I'm like, "Yo, what's going on, man? Like, what's?" So I was like, "All right, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, man. Yo, this Clapback Thursdays of this week was probably the most infamous Clapback Thursday I've ever seen in my life. I ain't gonna front."
Yeah, it was a good one, man. It was a good one. And you had to know that eventually something like this was going to pop up, right? Like eventually he was going to say something that was going to make the people. I mean, it's one thing to be on the side of the argument, always able to like kind of like with hindsight, break down what you're seeing. And, Eddie Hearn losing, his fighters losing a bunch of fights and those things. And that's always funny. We're entertained by that. But it's another thing to have your I think it was a sequence of events, right? Because last week, Oscar De La Hoya came out with a Clapback Thursday, basically speaking against what he said this week, right? Basically saying that the reason that the big fights weren't being made weren't because of the promoters, they were because of the fighters, and that the fighters weren't cut from the same cloth that he was cut from back in the day when he wanted to fight somebody. His promoter had nothing to say about it. He didn't care what the promoter said, right? And just basically acting like he was definitely going to be a component of pushing the biggest fights possible and, pushing his fighters, more importantly, to take the biggest chances and the biggest opportunities that are out there for him. So now Shakur Stevenson, doesn't have a dance partner. And of course, conveniently enough, it's against one of his fighters in William Zepeda. And I think on record, this may be like the third, somewhere between 3 to 5 times at this point that William Zepeda, his team. I'm not going to say him because I always still like to believe that the fighters actually want to fight everybody. I still want to believe that. I know some people would push back at that, but I believe that for the most of the cases, I think the fighters want to fight the best in the game. But according to Oscar De La Hoya, it's not the case, right? The promoters are always pushing for these big fights, and it's the fighters who are trying to get out of challenging themselves. Well, William Zepeda caught up, quote unquote, hand injury. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to say it's convenient but it does look like on the back end of of a very competitive event against Tevin Farmer. That a lot of people walked away from that event really not giving Williams Zepeda. They brought down the chances of Williams Zepeda beating Shakur Stevenson, right? And a lot of pushback on the idea of how competitive that fight would be, where a lot of people going into that fight against Tevin Farmer thought that Williams Zepeda was going to potentially beat Shakur Stevenson. At the end of that fight, there was a lot of people who changed their mind. And you have to ask yourself, how did Panda feel? How did Oscar De La Hoya feel? How did Golden Boy Promotions as a company feel about Williams Zepeda's chances against Shakur Stevenson? This being a fighter that has caught all kinds of accolades. He's been celebrated by Coach Panda on social media. He's been celebrated on social media by Oscar De La Hoya. They've called him the best fighter in boxing today. You know what I mean? That's not just in the 135-pound division, in boxing, right? They give him those kind of accolades, but yet and still, have fighters who are right there in the division with Shakur Stevenson. At some point, are going to fight Shakur Stevenson. It just always looked weird. And here we are today, where Shakur Stevenson has instructed Eddie Hearn to go ahead and put out a very lucrative offer to Floyd Schofield, right? Very lucrative offer. And this is coming from Floyd Schofield Sr. and Jr. This is not an assumption. This is not, based on what Eddie Hearn said. Floyd Schofield Sr. and Jr. confirmed that this offer was a very, very lucrative offer. Life-changing money from what I understand. Floyd Schofield Jr. said that this money was going to change his family's life forever if properly invested. He has enough money to buy a lot of real estate and literally never have to work another day in his life. This is coming from Floyd Schofield Jr.'s mouth on that interview with Najee from Cigar Talk, right? So he puts out this offer. Senior and Junior all but say that this fight is on, that they've accepted all the terms. You're going to assume that Shakur Stevenson obviously has accepted the terms, meaning that he's the one who sent the offer out as the A side, right? And lo and behold, Oscar De La Hoya comes out yesterday with this clapback Thursday, and he calls Floyd Schofield a prospect and basically paints Shakur Stevenson as a cradle robber, right? As somebody who's coming to take advantage of this 22-year-old, I think he said 22-year-old prospect, and Floyd Schofield. And I think it threw the space off a little bit. Like, what? Like, and it's interesting because how conveniently they'll use the word prospect, right? They'll use it very conveniently because this kid is ranked number 2 in the WBA sanctioning body, right? So he's right there behind Williams Zepeda to fight a Tank Davis on paper, right? He's right there, and he's ranked high in the other sanctioning bodies. I'm not going to front on the WBC sanctioning body. Interestingly enough, I don't think he's even in the top 10. Right. But regardless, he calls him a prospect here on the back end of an interview that Schofield Jr. and Sr. have done, confirming not only the fight, but have been doing interviews for the past months on how they are ready to challenge all these champions, and that all these champions are aware that they're the boogeyman, that they're the hardest fights that the hardest fights that any of these fighters could take. Right. Keep pushing and pushing and pushing until Shakur Stevenson, the only champion, and a lot of people would call him the boogeyman of the 135-pound division, being how hard and difficult it seems to be for him to get the biggest fights. But he answers the call, comes on FaceTime and says, listen, if this Williams Zepeda situation doesn't pan out, because he was already preparing himself mentally for this to happen with Zepeda, being that Zepeda had such a history of getting out of these fights with Shakur, he already kind of just gave Schofield a heads up, like, yeah, man, if that doesn't happen, yeah, we can make that happen. So if you're talking like that, we can make that happen. You got to give Shakur Stevenson his credit as well as being the kind of person who wants to fight the person who thinks they can beat him, right? He's never been I never noticed him to duck smoke, quote unquote. Maybe you might want to use the Edwin De Los Santos, maybe him not rematching Edwin. I don't know how you guys want to look at that, but outside of that, for the most part, Shakur's always seemed to be ready to fight whoever's the biggest competition, the competition that everybody thinks is going to cause him problems. He wants to debunk it, right? And he puts out the offer, man. So Oscar De La Hoya comes out yesterday on social media on his Clapback Thursdays, and he says that Floyd Schofield is a 22-year-old prospect. Shakur Stevenson is out of his pocket. He not only did he say that, but he also threw other fighters in the way. Hey, why didn't you call Frank Martin? Hey, why didn't you call this guy? Why didn't you call that guy? Why are you calling my 22-year-old prospect? Interesting, to say the least, right? Interesting to say the least. Let me shout out to a couple more people that popped in here in the building, and I'm definitely interested in how you looking at it and what you think about it, right? For sure. Shout out to Kawhi Elliott in the building. Salute. Shout out to D1 JBT, man. Salute, King, man. Back in the building. Salute, King. Hope everything is well with you guys here for boxing. My guy, from another man in the building as well, man. Sonny Augustine back in the building as well. I don't know if you caught the salute before, Sonny, if you're just popping back in, but salute to you. So yeah, right. I mean, listen, man, what is going on right now? How are you looking at it from your perspective right now?
Yo, did this guy literally say yesterday? And you tell me if I'm crazy, Clay. Did he not
You know you're
say?
crazy already. No matter
Yeah,
what you
a
say.
little bit. Literally, Crazy Eddie is who I be, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all know who Crazy Eddie is, man. Y'all don't know. Y'all ain't from the East Coast. I'm sorry to say, but anyway,
All
Crazy
those
Eddie was
crazy
infamous.
sales. Yeah.
Right. Infamous. But anyway, man, let's keep it real. Oscar is on something. Coke, crack, whatever it is, he on something. And he happy. Maybe it was a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Because yo, he said he said Schofield was not even in championship contention, and Shakur wants to fight his prospect, right? And I'm sitting there like, hold on. It's like you mentioned earlier. He's ranked number 2 in the WBA. Like, why? What? This guy's not championship contention. Did he not just have a fight that he didn't know was going to go the 12 rounds or whatever? Clay, that's championship contention. Like, what is going on with Oscar not knowing what's going on in his stable or what's going on with his camp or what fights he's making? Is he not trying to get in the way of these fights and then try to put it on Eddie? That was even crazier. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, Oscar is really tripping. He's really in a mood of making excuses of why his guys can't make these fights happen, or his team can't make these fights happen. And not to mention the other stuff he was complaining about. I'm not even going to go there about him trying to talk about contract issues and all that. Yo, Oscar is really he's living a free world, bro. I don't know what mindset he in, but he's living in a free world, and it's hilarious. He's got me entertained. I ain't gonna lie. It's just funny. Pause.
No doubt. Salute Cornelius Burnett in the building, and salute to Bub Boxing as well in the building, man. Yeah, listen, man. It's interesting, man. And you know me, I'm not the most cerebral person in the world, but I do, I read and I add things up, and things compound in my mind. And at this point, first of all, I'm not too sure how we got to look at Shakur Stevenson, right? That's a conversation we'll get into as well, because I mean, I have certain, for me, it's like, all right, he's trying to make the biggest fights in this division. If he's not able to make these fights, man, if it's going to be all of this every single time, if it's going to be an issue, if 135 is, I don't know, man, there's some things that he might have to take into consideration. I'm believing that for the most part, he's thought about this. I know Eddie Hearn is a visionary. He looks out far, and when he signed Shakur Stevenson, and just like the same way when he signed Jerome Boots Ennis, he probably foresaw what was already happening. Like, what was he really going to do to make it much different, right? Shakur wasn't able to put together these fights while he was at Top Rank. Granted, maybe some people want to say that was a little bit of Bob Arum being proactive and maybe those certain fights not happening. But at the same time, there's also another thing that has to always be taken into consideration, is that people just don't want to fight an algebra problem, a calculus problem, right? They don't want to deal with physics when they get inside the ring. They'd rather deal with those guys who's going to come forward, fight, just leave it there in the ring, take the chances, take the risk, leave holes out there that they can take opportunities on, you know what I'm saying? And make easy, quote unquote, easy money. With Shakur Stevenson, without a doubt, it's a math problem, right? It's work, it's study, it's strategy, it's training a certain way, it's getting ready. It's a lot of video studying, right? A lot of there's work being done. Everybody's working, you know what I mean, to get ready for a Shakur Stevenson fight. He's a complicated fighter to get ready for. But at the same time, Shakur does definitely, top of the morning, Bub, salute, King. Oscar knows Coral going wash Kid, but Kid and they dad, they want they on running their mouth. Yeah, quiet, you know what I'm saying? But but Kid is not doing the wrong thing. But let me say it like this, right? Because I was gonna go too far off, and I'm glad that Kawhi Elliott brought me back to the conversation, which is, how does this make Floyd Schofield Sr. and Jr. feel at this point? What do they understand? Because Senior has always spoke of the relationship they've had with Golden Boy Promotions to be a relationship based on a partnership model, right? They've always said that they're independent as they can be without being signed to a big promotional company, right? So in other words, Oscar De La Hoya had approached them, gave them an opportunity to say, listen, we want to promote you, but walked into a situation where Kid Austin was already making their own deals. This is coming from Senior's mouth, right? Negotiating their own deals with Nike and different things like that. And that this was just an opportunity for them to step up, but at the same time that their deal was structured in a way that was very different in comparison to the other fighters that won on Golden Boy's promotional label, right? They've always talked that way. And, they always said that was the difference between them and a lot of other fighters was that, man, if you guys want to make the fights and the paperwork over, we don't have those restrictions that these other fighters have. We can go wherever we want to go. Oscar understands what this relationship is. Well, here we are in a present moment where they've gone on social media. They've accepted the offer publicly on social media, said they've already signed it and sent it back. And like I said, Shakur Stevenson, you have to assume has agreed to the offer as well. His team sent the offer, right? So we got to assume Shakur's already signed the paperwork. The only person that can get in front of this fight happening is Oscar De La Hoya. And here Oscar De La Hoya goes on his public platform discrediting the accolades that a lot of people would say Floyd Schofield Jr. has earned, right? That he's been fighting, he's been gaining rank, he's been beating the right fighters, he's an undefeated fighter, although he's young, and no matter people want to throw shots at the way he fights and saying that this stylistically isn't going to work out well for him when he gets in the ring with those top competitors, at the end of the day, he's earned his way into the conversation. A lot of people would also say, where does Senior sit at this point? Seeing how Oscar De La Hoya is moving with this. And I've also heard there was a text message out there. I feel like it was on Dante. I could probably go and look for it, where Oscar De La Hoya is responding to, I guess, the Schofield team, saying that he believes in Schofield, but he keeps it 100 with them. He doesn't believe that this is the fight that they should be doing right now. But at the end of that text message says, but if this is what you want, this is what we'll do. So that part gave me hope to say that this fight is still potentially going to happen, right? It doesn't look like Oscar's going to shut this fight down. Shakur seems to believe that the fight's going to get shut down one way or another, being that Oscar's so against the fight happening. And Oscar's already painted the fight already as a fight that's unfair, that Schofield should lose this fight. He's already prepared for Schofield's loss. What does the Schofield team feel about this relationship with Oscar? What could you even put yourself in that situation where your promoter doesn't believe in you? Why would you be somewhere where you're not being celebrated, where it looks like you're kind of being tolerated? I don't know. What do you think, Ray?
Listen, I came from a management background, as you know, Clay. And being in that field, I can tell you right now, I've watched people like them look at other people, knowing I did my job harder, worked hard for my position, and did the things I needed to do to get in the position I was in, and watched them give it to other people that they felt that was more deserving, as they would say, right? So understanding what Schofield may be going through is why. The question is why. Like, you just sat here and gave me all these accolades, you gave me all these praise and all these good gestures in one sense, but then at the same time you really kicking my back in. And is it because of me, or are you just mad at this guy for not signing with you? Like, is this some envious stuff? That's what it seems like it's coming down to. They really wanted the Shakur in their camp, and Oscar has some issues. He's playing hard to get. He's playing hardball with Shakur, and he's disrespecting Eddie Hearn all at the same time. He's keeping his fighters away. His fighters are the ones calling out Shakur. And like I said, I think last week, Cepeda was the one who mentioned Shakur's name first. Shakur, I don't even think was thinking about Cepeda. He was number one in all four sanction bodies at the time. Cepeda called his name out. Shakur said, "Hey, let's make the fight. Let's make the fight. Cepeda, let's make the fight." This is when he was trying to get the fight with Maratala. And what happened? Then Panda says, "Nah, we're not ready for that fight. Shakur's a really good guy, blah, blah, blah." So teaming away. Then next fight happens with Cepeda, knocks dude for Pitbull Castillo, Giovanni, right? Yeah, Cabrera. That's all right. My bad. So he knocks him out with a body shot. Boom, boom, boom. Right, knocks him out. Boom, clean. Oh yeah, we'll take Shakur now. Now this is Panda. Yeah, we might be ready for that fight. Then the Oscar. Nah, we're not going to do that fight right now. Then Shakur is up in the right. Hey, you want this to pay the fight? You got to come over here, or else we're not doing business with you. You put it on blast. Shakur, gets Zepeda gets nominated the number one contender. Then he gets the mandatory status. Then he gets the interim belt. So all the things in the right steps, right directions, and they kick him out the way. Nah, he hurt his hand. Then you got another guy in the stable saying, "Hey, we'll take the fight. We've been calling about for a long time. We've been sparring Shakur this and this." And I remember at 126 when I think Kid Austin was like 8-0 or 9-0, calling out Shakur. He was calling out Shakur then at 126, and then he said he was going up and he's going to get the guys at 130. I'm sorry, not 126. I'm sorry, 130. And then he was calling the guys out at 135. And then shortly after, he moved to 135 and made his campaign there. What is going on here? I don't know. It just looks like Oscar is either envious of Eddie Hearn for not getting Shakur, or he has a personal problem with Shakur because something happened behind the scenes we don't know about, where he's just keeping his fighters away from him because he didn't get that contract. Maybe it was a shaking hand deal that just didn't happen. Maybe it was just some like, it's like the money's there. I don't understand. The money's there. What's going on? Oscar's playing some type of game. Maybe it's a mental game. Maybe this is where Ryan got it from. No disrespect. It's just a mental thing. You know what I mean? We just gonna sit here and play these games, but it's just sad what they're doing to the sport. And Shakur, who's working hard, it seems like he's working really hard to get these fights, and it just ain't happening, bro. And we gotta we really gotta focus. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm gonna say is that, like what I was really trying to get to was just as far as Schofield's relationship with Golden Boy. I'm not too sure as to why Oscar's doing what he's doing. I have to listen. I'm not going to act like I can't understand where Oscar's coming from. I do understand where Oscar's coming from as far as protecting his investment in Floyd Schofield, because he sees that Floyd Schofield has a promising career, but you can't act like you don't see the holes in Floyd Schofield Jr.'s game, right? And even in his last fight that he just recently had, Oscar said he gave that a fight a C rating, right? He said, I'm going to give him a C+. There's a lot of things that we need to work on. And he pretty much let it be known in that fight that, listen, man, we might have to pull back a little bit on Schofield. We might need to, give him a couple more fights, focus more on his development. He's communicated this. I don't think there's anything diabolical about the way he's thinking. I do think it's interesting on how freely he's willing to sit back and go ahead and communicate to the whole entire world what he thinks of his fighter. I mean, this is not first of all, I want to go on record right now. From my understanding, Oscar De La Hoya has officially pulled down that clapback. Okay. That's not available no more through his social media spaces. You can catch it on other channels who have it recorded, who are going to play it, but he's officially pulled that down, partly because he also said some things about Eddie Hearn and potential, relationships he might have with Sky. With Sky. We know Eddie Hearn's a married man with children, so he's saying some crazy allegations on there, and I'm sure Eddie Hearn's got the pennies to do something about that, to put Oscar De La Hoya in a situation where he's probably going to lose some money. And as rich as Oscar Hoya may or may not be, nobody just wants to sit there and pay out millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars just for something you're putting up on social media. But regardless, he's pulled down the posting and he's said what he said already. Everybody's heard it. You can see it being replayed across the whole entire space. You have to ask yourself, what does that look like today? Today's what, the 29th, whatever today's date is. This morning, waking up in the Schofield household, knowing that the whole entire boxing space is pretty much making you a super underdog in this fight. Nobody's giving you a chance to win this fight. And then your promoter, the person who you expect to have the most faith in you, I could never picture Eddie Hearn speaking the way Oscar De La Hoya spoke about any of his fighters. I can never picture, nobody from PBC like Leonard Ellerby or anybody who represents the PBC's interest speaking like that about a fighter going into a fight. I can never see other promoters doing this. But look, Oscar is Oscar, right? He's a Hall of Fame boxer, and he tries to pride himself on keeping it real. And like he says, it's never hate when you're speaking the facts. It's never hate. So I guess he's not hating on Schofield. He's just speaking the facts that he believes that this kid, no matter what he's earned, no matter where he's ranked at in these sanctioning bodies, that this kid is a prospect, right? And that this kid shouldn't even be fighting Shakur Stevenson. I don't know how that would sit with me personally if I was Schofield Sr. I'll be honest
Right.
with you. Just waking up this
That,
morning,
yeah.
I don't know where I'd be. Let me just go ahead and acknowledge this super chat as well in the building. Shout out to right-handed down town to Brooklyn with a $2 holla. Says that Shakur defense got Oscar scary. I agree, and we're going to talk about that as well. About as far as Shakur Stevenson being the actual boogeyman of 135-pound division. People don't want to acknowledge it. It's okay. But the more and more so that you're looking at it, when you see all the fights that he's having a hard time getting put together, all the excuses that are made not to fight Shakur Stevenson, we can argue that this kid might be the most scariest fighter for the boxers in 135 pounds. Maybe aesthetically and visually from what we're seeing, we might be like, nah, but it looks like fighters just would rather not get in the ring with this kid. And there's got to be a reason behind it, right? But go ahead. You were speaking, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, listen, I was trying to get to the point. I know I was turning the corner and it took a little long. I was a little long with my explanation. But no, if I was Floyd Schofield Sr., I'll be slapping myself in the face. At the end of the day, I put all my trust in you, all my development with you. I came to you with the idea that this was going to happen. We seemed like we were on par of doing this, and we were just waiting on the release, as they would say, right? So like I did my part, they did their part. Now it's up to you to release all this, and so we can get this date started and we can work on this fight. And then I get no, it ain't happening. Like I got to be like disgruntled. You know what I mean? Like what are we doing here? You know, I thought we had an understanding. I thought we had a deal. I just gave you all the praise. I'm on this guy's channel sitting here saying, you know, smiling, laughing, like, yeah, we laughing to the bank, basically, is what we were doing, right? Then we get there and we get no, like it ain't happening. And like I said, I was getting at is there's some person, and I was just getting to the point of Eddie Hearn. I didn't want to even go there yet because I know we're going to talk about it later. Seems to be some issue on that side with Eddie. This is not the first time this has happened with Eddie Hearn on certain platforms. I mean, look what he did with Devin and Ryan. He took that fight straight away from Matchroom. He didn't even want to include Eddie Hearn in that fight at all. But besides the fact that there was a contract there, that would have never happened. So I don't know if it's so much of Shakur because he's a dangerous fighter. If it's some rebellion against Shakur because he didn't sign with him. I don't know if it's just his dislike for Eddie Hearn, which it may well be for stealing Canelo from him. I mean, there's so many variables here, Clay. It's just there's a lot of things going on that we don't know, and these guys ain't playing right in the kitchen, unfortunately. There are some knives and forks being thrown at each other. And it seems like they're actually taking it out on the fighters in the fights. And if I was Schofield Sr., I will feel some type of way. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think so. You know what I mean? I definitely would. Shout out to P. Hunter in the building. Salute, P. Hunter. Welcome back to the channel. Salute to Jose Diaz as well in the building. And I believe Bronze Man. Salute, King. What's up, Claymore Rain? This is a good channel. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. P. Hunter said something here. He says, what did you say, P. Hunter? What did you say? Let's pull you up on the screen.
Yeah.
Let's pull you up on the screen, P. Hunter. I say where you gotta say, P. Hunter. P. Hunter always brings in the reason, the reasonable perspective. You know what I mean? Says Oscar did say if that's what they wanted to do, he would get the fight. I don't understand the issue. And I spoke on that a little bit earlier, Hunter, that there was a text message between the Schofield family and Oscar De La Hoya, and he said that he did say that. He said that he would get him the fight if that's what he wanted. Very similar to the Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Tank Davis situation. We all know that Oscar didn't bite his lip on that fight as well, as far as wanting Ryan to take that fight with Gervonta, especially under those conditions, as far as with the rehydration rule and all those things that was being implemented. But ultimately, he did get out the way and allow the fight to happen. He wasn't happy with the results of the fight to the point to where he didn't show up to the post-fight press conference. But he, like you said, P. Hunter, he did get out the way, and I have no reason to believe that he won't get out the way of this fight being put together, right? But I think more so what we're talking about this morning is just, I mean, you're the promoter of this fighter, Floyd Schofield, right? You're the promoter of this fighter. How does it help the fight? How does it help the fighter to sit there and discredit the value of the fight? Call this kid a prospect, which I'm telling you, I've seen Bernard Hopkins do the same thing to Honorable Bosa before. Sitting there just publicly on the camera talking about a fighter, in this case, in Arnold Barbosa, who was literally the mandatory for Teofimo's WBO title at the time, an undefeated fighter who came over to Golden Boy to get an opportunity to become a champion. And you saying that this prospect is going to get an opportunity to show the world why he should be respected as a contender. And then now here with Floyd Schofield in the present moment, This kid is ranked number 2 in a WBA sanctioned body. You're calling him a prospect in front of the world, a 22-year-old prospect. You're highlighting these words and make it sound like a baby, and then trying to flip it and turn it towards Eddie Hearn and Shakur Stevenson to say that these guys are like cherry picking your fighter, right? Who's been on public platforms challenging and calling for this fight. You know that Schofield's been calling for this fight. He's not been just calling for this fight since Williams Zepeda pulled out the fight. He's been calling to compete with Tank Davis and all these guys, not only calling to compete with them, but guaranteeing everybody he's probably going to stop these guys, and also saying that there's fear, that there's a history between Floyd Schofield and these fighters, and they're all aware of the danger that's in front of them with Floyd Schofield Sr. And here he goes. He gets an opportunity to back up what he's saying, back up his talk, and you go on social media, and in the spirit of discrediting Eddie Hearn, the biggest person he discredited was Schofield, right? Like that's who took the real shot. Like Eddie Hearn don't care that how you think about his matchmaking. Your fighter called out for this fight. Your fighter said he could beat my fighter all over social media, and Eddie Hearn and Shakur Stevenson called his bluff and said, okay, you guys can talk a lot on social media, but what are you going to do when the opportunity is actually put in front of you? When we're like, okay, you talking like that? All right, show us. And then you go on your clapback Thursdays and call him a 22-year-old prospect. It's diabolical, family.
Yep. That's what I said. It's crazy, right? So it makes you wonder what this, like I said, it makes you wonder what this guy does with his recreational activities, because that's crazy, Clay.
Right.
So I had to clap for the clapback.
Yeah. P. Hunter says Oscar and B-Hop are boxers. They know who can fight and who cannot fight. They know the rankings are trash and not a true judgment of boxers. Boxers know who can box. Yeah, P. Hunter. I mean, I hear what you're saying. And like, I don't know how long you've been in here, but I've been done said that I agree with Oscar. I agree with his assessment of where Floyd Schofield is at. He already communicated to the space after Floyd Schofield's last fight that he thought that he may have regressed a little bit, and gave him a C plus rating on the fight that he had, and said that he also was thinking about pulling him back a little bit and kind of revisiting some things with him to kind of make sure that he's ready. So I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is, when you're in front of that camera and you have your promoter hat on, right? You're not a boxer. You're not a fan like me and Ray Davis and the rest of the people in this chat. You are responsible for promoting this kid's likeness. What part of the promoter hat is it calling this kid who is ranked where he's ranked at, who's called out and already signed an agreement to fight Shakur Stevenson? He's already said what part of his promoter hat is he putting on to sit there and call this kid a 22-year-old prospect? What part of the promoter hat is that, right? I don't think I would have seen Bob Arum say something like that, or Eddie Hearn say something like that, right? Or Frank Warren say something like that. Not once the fight is already damn near getting ready to get put on. Listen, man, when Jared Anderson went to fight Martin Bacoli, Bob Arum didn't go out there and be like, yo, man, when Jared Anderson is, he's just really still a prospect and he really shouldn't even be in the ring with, they're taking advantage. Maybe after the fight, he communicated how he felt about it, going into it, but he communicated also that I'm going to have my fighters back. And if that's what he wanted to do, I was going to support him in doing that. What part of the promoter hat is, what part of the promoter job does this clap back Thursdays fall under? What category does this fall under? I don't know. You know what I mean?
And not to mention, Clay, that even when B-Hop brought Barroso over, they called him a freaking prospect. Like it seems to be something in their stable. Like if they don't like something, or they just called they just like that word. I don't know. Maybe that's what they talk about in their war room. Who knows? Like I don't understand who's a prospect, who's not. You know what I mean? Who they fought and who they haven't fought. Who's a challenge, who's not a challenge. Seems to be because he was ranked up high too for the WBO, and it was like, yeah, we put this prospect over. You just signed him, blah blah. Like, come on! And now you calling this young kid a prospect who just got ranked number 2. He just moved up in rankings from number 4 to number 2. He's been climbing the ladder for the last 2 years, and they just throw that word out there like that. And then just say, like, the key word it's not even that he mentioned prospect. He said that he's not even in championship contention, which is crazy bogus.
No,
when a guy,
he said he's never challenged. He said he's never challenged for a championship before. But hold on one second. Free smoke.
Good.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's behind the scenes, brother. Yeah, man. Just hear what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, I know about all that, right? That's behind the scenes, though. I'm saying to you, being on social media, like Oscar De La Hoya is, and what he did yesterday, I would not picture Bob Arum doing that, right? Bob, yeah, behind the scenes, he's gonna handle business. He's a businessman, and if he feels like this isn't the right move, he's gonna move around the pieces he needs to move around to make things go the way he needs. But publicly, he's not gonna come out and discredit his fighter like that. And I'm listening, man. I'm not gonna say what he will, he won't do. I don't know that man. Maybe he will, but I will go on record and say I've never seen him do that. I'll say it like that. All right, I've never seen him do it. You know what I mean? But it is what it is, man. It does look, it does look weird, man. It does just look weird to see Oscar carrying it that way, especially like I said with the order of events coming off the back end of him basically letting the whole boxing space know that the reason these big fights aren't happening, the reason we don't see fighters challenging themselves isn't because of the promoters, it's the actual fighters. He put it on the fighters. Well, here we go the following week. How convenient, you know what I mean? How convenient, how ironic that the following week your fighter is pushing to be great. He's trying to put himself in a position to challenge himself, and you're actually the one discrediting, you know what I'm saying, and trying to get this fight not to happen, to the point where Shakur Stevenson feels like, yo, this fight's not going to even happen. He basically told Floyd Schofield, keep my name out your mouth, bro. You don't got that type of pull. You don't got that kind of power. Your own promoter doesn't think you're ready for this fight. Don't be sitting here talking about you want to fight me when you know you can't fight me because your promoter's not going to allow you to, because he knows what a lot of other people in the boxing space knows, which is you're not ready for this level of fight. You're not ready for this.
Right.
And you're talking all that talk, and you're sitting out here trying to make fights happen. You're asking for contracts, you're asking for offers, but you're not even in position to accept an offer. You're not even in position to actually make a fight. So stop talking. You know what I'm saying? Because talking is easy to do on social media, but at the end of the day, when you got somebody like Eddie Hearn and Shakur Stevenson who might just call your bluff, you know what I'm saying? Who might just send that offer over, you might get left outside looking stupid when your own promoter gives you a reality check. I don't know what you said to them dudes, but that fight don't make no sense for you, King. That fight don't make you not ready. You not him. I know you think this, you think that, but I'm telling you, this kid is a way higher level fighter than you. His IQ is way beyond your IQ. He's shown and proven himself in multiple different ways in the boxing ring, in ways that you've not done. And I'm telling you, as a boxer, like P. Hunter said, you know what I'm saying? I was a boxer. Bernard is a boxer. We know how to read it. We know what we're looking at. You're not there yet. But you got Floyd Schofield and Senior and Junior on these interviews, putting out these stories, getting into it with the Greg Hackett's of the world and with the Coach Malachi's of the world and everybody else who may push back at the idea. Brian Norman, right? Pushing back at the idea of you drinking this Kool-Aid, and you're putting out all this talk, but at the end of the day, you fall underneath a promoter's thumb, just like all the other fighters. And if your promoter doesn't want it, you might not be able to get it together. You might not be able to put this together. So why are you talking like that? And Shakur is well within his right to tell that man, keep my name out your mouth. There it is, said and done. Y'all know what it is. From what I understand, Shakur Stevenson is already looking at fights with Raymond Moratala right now. He's entertaining fights with maybe George Kambosos as well, and other fights out there that he can get involved with, from what I understand. But keep in mind that I want to bring it back full circle to say that Oscar did communicate in that text message at the end of it when he was speaking to Schofield to say that if this is what you guys want, I will support it. So there's a chance that this fight might happen, but it's clearly going to happen. It's going to happen in a way, now the way Oscar's painted, is going to happen in a way to where it's going to look like it looks bad for Shakur, right? Now you're fighting a prospect that even this guy's promoter says he is. If you lose this fight, you lost against a prospect. And if you win it, you don't even get the credit for real, because this kid's not even supposed to be in the ring with you in the first place. You know what I'm saying? That's the value of the fight.
That was my next point. Like, he really went. I think he did that because, not to take credit. You know what I mean? Basically, to shoot Shakur down for taking this fight and shoot. Not give Shakur the accolade for taking the fight and shoot down Schofield for taking the fight, because he did the same, like you say, he did the same thing with Ryan. You know, he gave a lot of pushback. He gave reasons why he didn't think it was possible, a good matchup. So he has the excuse and already written out. Like, look, I told you. Right. I mean, you know, people always like to tell us, right? So that's exactly what it is. And not to mention, Shakur gonna fight Loma, man. I done told you guys this. This has been a thing brewing since that Turkey event. That was like a pre. I don't know if it was set up for them two to do that. That little pushing and shoving thing. But that's something that I think is going to happen. Probably around March. We're going to see Loma versus Shakur, and I think that's the fight that's happening for unification. I think we're going to see those guys get it in. And I mean, that's just what I'm seeing right now. I don't see anything else.
Well,
in the making.
That can go into a separate conversation as well that we can go into as well. It's about what does he do if he's not able to make all these big fights? What is Shakur's real options out there? But let me just read a couple of these statements here. Salute to the great Gambino in the building. I don't know if I shouted you out, Jose Diaz. Salute to you as well. I don't know if I missed you a little earlier or not, but salute to you. Jones and Gambino. These wrenches, man. I don't know. I'm slipping out here. Oscar effing up Floyd Jr.'s money. 100. Yeah, listen, man. And that's another thing. Man, look, bro. If you're the Schofields, how do you take what Oscar De La Hoya has done yesterday in a humble way? How are you able to sit there and be like, well, I respect what you like? Nah, man. Now you playing with my money too. Like this offer that came over, arguably seems like it's going to be the most lucrative offer that's ever been in front of them in the boxing space, right? And these guys really believe they can win this fight. They really want this opportunity. And the cherry on top of the pie is that they're going to get the biggest payday that they've ever gotten. When you hear them talking about this in the interview with Cigar Talk, they're saying the day after this win, their whole life is going to change. I mean, your heart almost bleeds for these guys a little bit because you actually, not too many people. First of all, boxers and athletes in the world, they're not like everybody else, right? They're unique people. They're people who committed their whole lives to being the top athletes and actually were able to succeed to make it to the biggest stage, right? Not a lot of us out here can say that. Most of us can't say that, right? They're one of a select few. You know what I mean? They eat right, they work out right, they sleep right, they put all their energy and all their focus on their boxing, providing for their family. You hear the stories of Floyd Schofield talking about how they slept in cars and and slept in hotels and how they really lost a lot to get this far. They took multiple steps backwards in life to be able to move forward and be where they're at today. And arguably a moment like this, an opportunity like this is what a boxer can say that they worked for their whole entire life, right? And as a promoter, you're going to get in the way of their opportunity to be great and their opportunity to make money by communicating, while clapping your hand, doing your little antic thing that you're doing, right? You're having fun, and 22-year-old prospect. It can never be a hate if it's the facts. You know what I mean? Right. With your finger in there, and you're playing with these guys' career, but you're supposed to be their promoter. How does Schofield wake up, humbly accept that as something that is just part of the game? When he's a grown man who understands what promoting looks like, he knows what he's expecting. When he walked into that situation and that agreement with Oscar De La Hoya, he had to have a vision in his mind of what this was going to look like. Could you ever imagine that he thought it was going to look like what happened yesterday with Oscar De La Hoya? I don't know. Let me read some of these as well. D1 says, facts, Clay. Thank you. Y'all don't see this. It is a setup. They're trying to set up Loma. I mean, he's on point 100. Yeah, Jose Diaz. Yeah, that's what Ray's saying, basically, that Lomachenko might be somewhere in this conversation and we're not aware of it, right? That he's still floated around. He's still sitting on that IBF title. Maybe he is in the background. I don't know what Oscar De La Hoya has to benefit from Lomachenko fighting Shakur. So I think there might be a thin line between conveniently something working out for Shakur, between that and actually chess pieces being moved to work this out, because Oscar has really no investment. I think two things can coexist in the same space. I think there's an opportunity for Shakur Stevenson to make a big fight with Lomachenko because obviously he doesn't have an opponent. But I think at the same time, it's also reasonable to argue that Oscar De La Hoya was just being messy as hell yesterday and had nothing to do with putting a fight together with Lomachenko, right? Dragonfly Jones says, I definitely wouldn't resign with Oscar once my contract was up. If I was Floyd, yeah, no doubt, man. It's all money. Jose Diaz says. Honey Young says, that's bugging me. How is Schofield getting a huge payday from Eddie? However, Eddie didn't want to pay an extension of $20,000 and a larger purse for Norman to fight Boots. Hunter Young, I think it's two separate conversations. I'm being honest with you. I don't think whatever Eddie Hearn is offering Schofield, and because we got to remember Schofield probably, I don't know Schofield to be getting the biggest paydays, right? So I don't think him being willing to or able to pay for a fight with Schofield necessarily represents his ability to or whatever have you in paying Brian Norman. I think it's two separate conversations, right? I don't know how I can connect those dots. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah. I would say this, Clay, just to that you're talking about a guy who probably just made 250 to 300,000 in his last couple of fights to now getting offered $1 million. Like, yeah, it's not for you and me. It's life changing. For Schofield, that may be life changing and stepping into the right direction. That just moved his purse up. You know what I mean? Regardless, so that's probably what Clay is touching in on his largest payday.
Yeah, bottom line is, according to Schofield, the Schofields who spoke on it, they were very impressed with the offer. They said it was a super lucrative offer. They couldn't stop smiling. They couldn't stop laughing. Like, they were very excited about this fight. And I'm assuming that they still are excited. We don't know what the number is, but it was something that, if you saw the interview and you paid attention to the interview, the Schofields were very excited about this opportunity. Monetarily, championship wise, accolade wise, legacy wise, they were over ecstatic, bro. Like, I was honestly happy for them. That's how happy they were. They were so happy. I was super happy for them. Like, you ever see somebody get something they always wanted? You know what I mean? And you know how much they wanted it, and they got it, and you see the way they're laughing and smiling and celebrating, and you sitting there like, damn, bro, I'm kind of happy for them, bro. Look how happy it is. It might not even be nothing to you, but you see, you know that's what they really wanted. You know what I'm saying? And that's how they look like. They look like kids on Christmas morning getting the gift they've been asking for all year long. That's what they look like. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You just, you know what I mean? To see that interview and then to see the reaction by Oscar De La Hoya and calling him a prospect, it's got to be somewhat of a letdown for them, man. It's got to be. I don't care. It's got to be somewhat of a letdown.
That's what I was going to say. That's got to be like the worst feeling in the world when you out there promoting and you put this guy on a pedestal for him to back you up, and he just sat there and it's like, nah. It's just a slap in the face, man. Like, seriously, it's just bad news, man. Like, I wouldn't want to receive it like that, especially publicly, not privately. You know what I mean? Like, you just did this on your little skit publicly and to the world instead of coming to me and be like, look, man, I think we're gonna move a different direction, whatever. That was kind of, I don't know, man. I would be definitely looking to get out of this contract. And this is not the first time he's done this to his fighters, man, at all.
Yeah. It's interesting to say. It's interesting to say that was happy for them, for the father and son combination, money. Even do Shakur will pop shit all night. 100%. That's part of the boxing game, right? But look, so it is what it is, right? Oscar stated what he stated. The Schofields have made it clear what they want. They're pushing for the fight to happen. If Oscar's true to his word about what he thinks his job is as a promoter, which is to facilitate what the fighter wants, then he'll probably get out the way. And I don't think this fighter is dead. I don't think this fight is dead in the dirt. I don't think it's dead in the dirt. Matter of fact, I think it's probably still very realistically going to happen. But without a doubt, it's been discredited in a huge way. And it just doesn't hold as much weight for Shakur Stevenson anymore. You almost got to ask yourself, does Shakur even want the fight to happen at this point when the fighters when the promoters are promoting it as a fight that's not going to do anything for him? You know, I mean, he doesn't have any real reason to fight Floyd, but he did put the offer out there. So I guess the fight still happens. It's a horrible situation for Shakur Stevenson in so many different ways. But at the end of the day, at this point, I mean, are we comfortable with saying that Shakur Stevenson is the boogeyman at 135?
Absolutely. Yes, I think so. I mean, for the last 2 years, he's been getting the runaround. I just wanted to address something real quickly. I think what BVO Boxing TV just said makes a lot of sense about Earl Spence' quote about Oscar handling black fighters, what Earl Spence said. But I'm just going to actually push back a little bit because it's not just, it just seems to be Shakur. It doesn't seem like it's in this point just Floyd Schofield Jr. because he literally did the same thing by pulling what's the name right off the table from him also, Zepeda. So it's, you know what I mean, he's managing his fighters differently. He did the same thing with Ryan when he wanted to fight with Tank. These guys had to go out and make their own moves, power moves, in order to get these fights. And Oscar just had to sign off on it and just accept what it was because that's what I mean. That's why they ended up in courts and stuff on this stuff. But yeah, I get it. But to what you just said, absolutely, Clay. He's definitely the boogeyman. Like I said, the way he beat Yoshino, I think had a lot of people thinking if this guy just came up and he gained that much power because he dropped Yoshino like 3 times, stopped him in like the 9th round.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And he basically pummeled that dude like he stole something from his garage. Um, yeah, that made a lot of people think, and that goes everybody from Pitbull, who was supposed to be up next. It went to I think Zepeda's name actually came out in the mix, and they said Zepeda was already in line in the fight. Uh, I mean, we go on and on. And he got even to the point where it went up to Devin Haney, and Devin Haney moved up in weight. Now, I'm not saying that's the cause of it, whatever the case may be, but hey, at the end of the day, these things happen, and Shakur's look like he's being ducked, and people hide in the bushes when he walked down the street. You know what I mean?
Right.
What's up, Rick
Right.
Timms?
Salute, Rick. What's good with you, family? Good to see you in the building, man. Yeah, man, I think it is arguable to say that Shakur Stevenson is the boogeyman at 135. I'm being honest with you, the kid has been getting ducked a lot, man. And it's going to get to that point to where the Jerron Boots Ennis conversation is going to come up for Shakur Stevenson. It's going to get to that point. If these fights don't start materializing very soon for him, why waste your time in a division where you can't get none of the biggest fights because people want to make all these excuses, right? I don't care about people saying he's boring or I give no F's, you know what I'm saying? No ish about that nonsense. It is your job to make these opportunities, to cut the ring off, to do all these things. He's the kind of fighter he is. Your stylistic fight should present the issues that are going to be able to neutralize a lot of those things. That has nothing to do with nothing, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now, to even bring that up, for a fighter to bring that up, speaks to the fighter's lack of skills, right? He speaks to the fact that he has the inability to compete with this kid on the highest level, and that he's probably going to lose this fight of what he thinks is some nonsense, because maybe they just want to picture it and over exaggerate and say Shakur's just going to run from them for 12 rounds, and not only run from them for 12 rounds, but be awarded points for it by the judges and give him a victory that he doesn't deserve. There's a lot of fear there, right? There's a lot of fear there in fighting a Shakur Stevenson and what he brings to the ring stylistically, you know. But I don't want to move too far from it, just to say that he's the boogeyman at 135. We look at Jerron Boots Ennis going through the same exact thing. I'm telling you guys, from my personal opinion, when I look at somebody like Eddie Hearn, I look at somebody who's an intelligent promoter, bro. I don't care what you guys say. Is he above lying? Is he above manipulating? Is he above doing some things that you guys might not consider to be ethical business practices? No, he's not above it, bro. He's a promoter. The boxing game has been a lawless game for years, bro. This is the home of Don King, right? This is we're not going to play that game and act like he can't, but I'm going to say that he's a chess player, not a checkers player. And if he's signed a fighter like Shakur Stevenson, if he's signed a fighter like Jerron Boots Ennis, knowing both of these guys have had the adversity of not being able to get into those big title unification fights that they want, then you best believe that I believe he has a B plan. And what's that B plan for Shakur Stevenson? If 135 isn't going to work out for Shakur Stevenson the way Shakur wants it, what has Shakur Stevenson and Eddie Hearn spoke about, and what do you picture moving forward for Shakur Stevenson is a real possible option if this is going to continue to be the problem that looks like it's been? Before you answer that, let me shout out to Mr. Big Play Bray with the $5 hour in the building.
That was coming.
I got to, bro, because if I don't, I'll forget. We'll get deep into the conversation and I'll forget. Shout out to Mr. Big Play Bray, grassroots of support right here. Says, question, can you explain the real role of the boxing promotion? Is it just return on investment, or is it to build a fighter? That's a great question, Mr. Big Play. Let me take a shot at this one real quick first. And I know, Ray, you definitely have something to contribute to this question, but man, that's a great question, man. And I'm going to tell you the truth, Mr. Big Play. This is my personal opinion, right? I don't have my boxing promoter Bible here in front of me to give you that, word for word, what I'm saying, response to that question. But here's my personal opinion on it. I think multiple things have to coexist in the same space when you're talking about boxing promoters, right? Because of course, a boxing promotion has got to be concerned about a return on investment. That may quite possibly be right up there, number one, number two, as far as priority is concerned for a boxing promoter, because they might love the game just as much as any other boxing fan, but at the end of the day, they're here to make a living. They're here to make money, right? That's what they're here to do. So if they're going to put money out, they're concerned about how they're going to get the money back. But listen, does a boxing promoter have a lot to benefit in, and should he have full vested interest in the development of his fighter? 100%. I think that lines right up next to the money being made, right? The fighter's development puts a fighter in championship fights, puts him on the biggest stages, therefore puts a fighter in the conversation for to have the biggest paydays, which translate into the biggest paydays for the promoter. So yeah, man, definitely he's sitting there trying to be concerned about the development of the fighter, which is why I respect Oscar De La Hoya's perspective. I just don't know if I respect the platform he chose to deliver that information on and how freely he spoke on something that some people would say works against his fighter's public image, right? Because he has to be concerned about not only the development of the fighter in the ring, but also the public's perspective of the fighter. So yeah, I hope that answers the question to say that the real role is both, man. It's the development of the fighter as well as the return on investment. Now, if you look at the way Don King kind of moved along with it, at times it looked like, he didn't really have the fighter's best interest. He would throw the fighters in some complicated situations. And the way he kind of did it was he was really doing that in-house thing, right? Like no matter who won, he was getting money anyway. He cared about the magnitude of the fight itself between both fighters. But I think in a case like this case scenario where Oscar De La Hoya has no vested interest in Shakur Stevenson's development and all of his vested interest is in Schofield's development, that I could see where he'd have some anxiety about allowing Schofield to get inside the ring with the Shakur Stevenson when he knows he's not going to win. I think he even said it in a tweet that him losing this young could ruin him to a degree. Oscar still believes in that record staying undefeated until he gets to the big stage and gets offered the most money, but the development has to be a huge concern in my opinion. What do you think, Ray?
Clay, bravo. You actually took a lot of them words that was, in my thoughts. I'm just going to tell you, first of all, I agree with you. So, one, it goes hand in hand because you cannot build a fighter and not have their return on investment in mind because you're building that fighter to make more money out of that fighter. That's number one. Number two, in situations such as this, you have to look at it for Oscar's standpoint of understanding where that fighter actually wants also. We have to understand that the promotional company now, not the promoter, the promotional company is return on investment. The promoter themselves or the management team is all about building the fighter. So they work hand in hand together, and they do have some similarities when they want to develop these fighters, and they want to put them in the right situations to make the most that they can at the time they need to. Now, what comes to mind is when you have a Schofield and an Oscar putting Schofield on the back burner like he just did, that says something. That doesn't say that, oh, I'm just doing this because it's not good for my investment. Because at this point, if we know, like you just mentioned, Don King, this is when he's supposed to talk about his fighter and why his fighter's this way and that way. And you know what? We're not even going to take this fight. We're going to go a different direction. There's so many ways to move this needle without making it look like you're calling publicly calling your fighter a prospect when he's ranked number 2 in a sanctioning body. There's definitely different ways of handling this. So that was poor management on Oscar's part, but I'm pretty sure his father, as the manager of the team and the promoter of the team, is saying differently. They even mentioned, hey, if we lose, we're only going to bounce back better because we're going to learn from this, where Oscar didn't get that message, right? They didn't get that message. Oscar is saying, I need you to have your O's because I need to capitalize on everything on you. So return on investment is important for me. I don't care about who you're fighting. So, yeah, it kind of plays hand in hand. Like I said, at the end of the day, that was a great question. Brilliant synopsis of how he took this whole conversation we had. Man, shout out to Hunter Young on that, man. I'm sorry, that wasn't Hunter Young. That was Big Play Bray. Shout out to Big Play on that, man. For real.
No doubt. And salute to Nine Fingers in the building, man. What's up, player? What's good, family? Long time no see, man. Good to see you in the building, man.
Yo. What up?
But bringing it back full circle to what we were getting ready to tap into, which was as far as moving forward for Shakur Stevenson. If it's going to be this difficult for him to put these big fights together at 135, and I mean, look, he looks like he's aiming at Raymond Mortala if this doesn't work out for him. Salute to Round One Sports Talk in the building.
What's up, Edwin?
Right. Salute to you, King. If this is the case, and it's going to be difficult like this for Shakur Stevenson, what options do you think are on the table for him at this point?
I think the Katina fight is still going to be in that mix. A lot of people are still sleeping on that fight. I think that's a great fight. I think we got the Muratalla. That's a key fight, but Muratalla seems to be lined up for the Loma fight. It seems like that's what Top Rank has in the works for this. But I can see Loma looking for a payday, knowing what Eddie Hearn is willing to pay and that
Mhm.
fight being a big fight, and Loma saying, "Look, I want to go out there and get this money. I know this guy's going to pay me. I think we should make this happen. We already had this little scuffle in Riyadh season card, and we just did this on camera. We know that Turkey's going to pay this money for this fight. Let's get in the ring. Let's make this happen." So I can see Loma really getting in the way of this fight of anybody with Shakur and making it happen before he hangs him up.
Mhm.
It just seems like it's the best option for boxing right now.
Right. Right. I think the opportunities in 135 are obvious, I mean, as far as, Raymond Moratala, as far as Lomachenko, and obviously Tank as well, I mean, are the options. But I do believe that Shakur Stevenson has to be entertaining at this point. What Eddie Hearn seemed to be entertaining. If you ask me, I think Eddie Hearn in the back of his mind is saying 140 Shakur, 140. That's what I believe he's saying. I believe he's saying, I can put you in front of some big fights. I can give you some opportunities to make some big paydays. There's legacy up there. There's a lot of fights that people want to see you get in the conversation of. They want to see you in the conversation with Devin Haney. They want to see you in the conversation with Teofimo. They want to see you up there with the rich, with the Hitchinsons, even though you guys are like family supposedly too as well. But they want to see you in those conversations. And I think ultimately all these other fights, including Tank, are fighters that eventually will be at 140 at one point or another. So you don't necessarily miss out on the opportunities to compete with these guys in the long run. It's about you being active, Shakur. And Raymond Moratala is a great fight, but is it a huge payday? Maybe it is. You know what I'm saying? Is Vasily Lomachenko a huge payday? Of course. But we're also talking about an aged out Vasily Lomachenko who's talking as if he doesn't even want to come back anymore, right? Is the Tank fight a huge payday? 100%. But can it only happen at 135? Not necessarily. It can happen at 140. I mean, you listen to a Tank fan or you listen to people talk about Tank, it has no chance. It has to be at 135. But at the end of the day, Shakur Stevenson is not getting younger. He's getting older. He's nowhere near old, but he's getting older. His needs, his prize fighter expectations need to also, those boxes need to also be checked. Eddie Hearn is also in the business to make money. We can't ignore the fact that Turkey Al-Sheikh has taken interest in Shakur Stevenson's career as well, and that he's interested in putting him in the biggest fights. We can ask ourselves the question if Turkey Al-Sheikh sees 135 as the best division for Shakur Stevenson. Is he willing to pay top dollar to see Shakur fight Raymond Moratala? Is he willing to pay top dollar to see him fight fighters who aren't necessarily in the conversation as far as the biggest fights are concerned? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, if this continues to move in this direction, if this is the direction that it continues to move for Shakur, where he's got this cloud of bad luck over him, where he can't put together the biggest fights, then, he might start considering the fact that Eddie Hearn does have fights that I think Eddie Hearn is very confident that he can put together.
Right.
And he needs to entertain fighting those fighters, fighting the Liam Paulos, right? Fighting those
Right.
fighters that are available for him that Eddie can actually put together like that, make it happen, get him on these Riyadh cards, get him these huge $3 to $5 million guaranteed paydays, and keep moving his market value in the right direction. And maybe Legacy is really at 140, the same way Legacy may really be at 154 for Jerome Butenis. What do you think?
Yep. I agree with that. I think that he's going to probably give it a couple more pushes left and right, pause, to see if he can shake anybody down there in the division, get some good fights going. And I think from there, he's going to, if he can, he's going to talk to him about 140. He may be looking at the winner of the Hitchens fight. He may be looking at the winner of the Sando Martin Puello fight.
Right.
Right. He may be looking at those fights. I doubt he goes the WBA route, but he can get in it because he's got a guy that's right now ranked to take on. Well, he's not ready to take him on, but what's his name just got moved up there? What's his name? The dude that just fought that dude from England that just fought. Anyway, he got him there. The dude that just fought, the Josh Taylor guy who just beat up Regis. But he's up there.
Catterall.
Catterall. I don't know why I was gonna say Cardina. I didn't want to say Cardina. You know what I mean? But yeah, Catterall. Got Catterall there. He can get in the way of him, and he can get in the WBA conversation. He has a good relationship with the WBA also throughout history, so he could probably even move right in there and take on that fight and display some skill sets and moving to 140. And making 140 is not hard for Shakur. Shakur is a solid guy walking around, pause, at like probably a good 160, 165 at his normal weight. So him coming down to 135 it's good for him. You know what I mean, to not have to go that far because he's been able to maintain it and go down to that threshold and box even at 130. That's why he actually couldn't make 130 anymore because it was tough. Maybe 140 is more comfortable for him. Maybe he gets his power back. Maybe he feels more comfortable. And he adjusts and he can take on the Antoine Russells and all these guys, man. Like it's so much opportunity at 140, like you're saying. If that door closes at 135, so we can't. You know what I mean? That's not like I said. Let's see what Eddie does. Let's see if he knocks and bangs on these doors here, tries to shake some people down, see if he can get a fight, and if he can't, move this guy up. Let's see it happen because we don't want to see these guys age out in these divisions, waiting for these fights to happen. Unfortunately.
100%, brother. 100%. Shout out to Greenville and Mike in the building. In the comments here, and he said basically, first of all, I'm going to say that he said Loma's not fighting Shakur. He says Loma going to end up fighting Keyshawn after he grabs that belt from Dennis. I could see that, and that's the whole thing, right? And that goes into Greg Gambino said how many fighters actually duck Shakur. That question right there, I'm going to answer it the best way I can to say that I don't think fighters. Okay, first of all, me personally, when I talk about ducking, and I don't know if I've been using it loosely in this conversation, but I try not to use that word loosely because I don't want to say fighters duck Shakur. Only a handful of fighters, I'll say Frank Martin, in my opinion, duck Shakur. People would push back at that. I will say Pitbull, you know what I'm saying? He publicly said he didn't want to fight. I look at that a little bit as a look. Tim Nathan is actually saying what I was about to say. And Zepeda, you know what I'm saying? William Zepeda has had opportunities to fight Shakur somewhere between 3 to 5 times, and every single time it seems like I'll be honest with you. This last time when William Zepeda is not fighting Shakur was the first legitimate reason, in my opinion, that I'll say, all right, if he got injured, he got injured, right? But the other times it seems like literally Oscar De La Hoya or Coach Panda was out there publicly speaking as to why they don't want that fight right now, just over celebrating Shakur. I'll never forget when I was on that conversation on Mill City when Coach Panda was up there. I was literally part of that conversation with Mill and Coach Panda. And Coach Panda was just, really celebrating Shakur in that conversation and really just saying like Shakur is like the best fighter in the world. And I thought to myself, well, I mean, but we're in the middle of a conversation talking about your fighter, William Zepeda, fighting Shakur. And granted, he said, listen, as a coach and as a trainer, it's my job to prepare my fighter. There's no way that I would go into a fight with Shakur Stevenson not thinking that my fighter is going to win or can win at least, right? And I gave him the respect of saying that, but he did seem to over celebrate Shakur, right? To a point to where William Zepeda seemed at one point to be standing alone as far as wanting to make this fight happen, right? Like Coach Panda looked like he was advising him to go the Lomachenko route, and then Oscar De La Hoya in his interviews was communicating the same thing. Coach Panda was basically saying that this kid was like the best thing since sliced bread, right? And then conveniently, every single time this fight is supposed to be getting put together, William Zepeda is literally coming off victories, calling Shakur out in the middle of the ring. And these fights aren't happening. He ends up fighting a Tevin Farmer, right? He ends up saying that he has a kid on the way and that he wants to stay home. And then he gets in a fight with Tevin Farmer in the same year, right? He's literally doing all these different steps, being moved in a certain way to where it's like, what's going on? And once again, Shakur Stevenson sat out there trying to get a fight with this kid to the point to where the champion of the world is calling out this mandatory. Like, I want this fight. And it looks crazy. It starts to look like Zepeda is the champion. Shakur is the damn mandatory, right? It just starts to look weird, right? But then you go into like I said with Frank Martin, there was actually a negotiation and understanding an agreement made. Frank Martin last minute pulls out, doesn't like something that's going on in negotiations and says, listen, I know my team agreed to a certain amount of what this contract was saying, but me personally, I don't agree with it. So he pulled out of it. I considered that a duck. I think Ray pushed back at it. Me and him have these long conversations about how that's not necessarily the same thing, but that's where I'm at with it. And Isak has made comments about how he doesn't want to get with this fighter, that this kid is going to be boring. And when you see how Isak performed against Rayo Venezuela, you kind of checks the boxes and you understand what Isak was trying to duck and move away from his whole career, right? Was that kind of slick fighter that Rayo presented himself to be in that ring. And then, all the other fighters, obviously he's been screaming out Lomachenko's name for a long time. Nothing's been able to come to fruition with that.
Kambosos.
He's called out George Kambosos, and he's called out his own promoter, Bob Arum. You know what I'm saying? To be like, what part are you playing in this diabolical I was gonna say a bad word. Well, I'll say it, fuckery. You know what I'm saying? That's going on here where I can't get these fights. He's literally left his promotional team with Top Rank to go somewhere else because he's not getting anywhere because he can't make the big fights. He's ending up in the ring with a Yoshino. He's ending up in the ring with the Artum Haratunian. He's ending up in the ring with a De Los Santos with a bad hand inside of an arena on a Thursday night. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's horrible, right? His situation has been very, very difficult to say the least. So look, man, I think it's an understatement to say that Shakur Stevenson, at a minimum, we won't say everybody's ducking him, but I'll say at the minimum, he's having a very hard time putting together these big fights, man. And at some point, the rubber got to meet the road at some point to where Shakur and his promoter and the people who have meetings and have vested interest in his development as a fighter are going to have that hard conversation of, hey, champ, what if 135 just ain't it? What if 135 just ain't it for you right now, man? How much longer do you want to keep running and moving this needle in this direction when it's not ending in these big fights happening? I don't know, something to think about, right, Ray?
Right. Exactly. You don't want a young fighter to come up or a fighter like Andy Cruz, Abdullah Mason, even or Schofield sneak in there and get a win on you, man. You don't want that type of a loss on your record, especially when you know, because you're sitting there waiting for the right opportunities. Get out while the good is good. You know what I mean? While you up top, while you're on top of the game, don't wait till you start, you know what I mean, slowing down and this shit like this happens and it puts you back into a situation you don't want to be in, because it can happen. I mean, we just seen it happen with Earl, right? 2 years ago. Earl could have moved out the division 3 years, the 3 fights before that, before the accident even. But he stayed there because he wanted to challenge himself and do, make legacy, which is fine. You know what I mean? That's all. I'm all for that. But at the same time, staying somewhere too long can get you hurt, man. And I heard you on Blue Channel last night mentioning the same thing about Boots. You know what I mean? I heard you guys talking about that, and I was like, yo, that's crazy. I mean, I actually had to catch the after show, but I caught it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, shout out to Dragon Fly Jones on the super chat. Shakur should have taken the undisputed fight with Dev. He had booking issues ever since. Shakur didn't want to take the a risk like Floyd. You know, it's funny that you say that. I am on board with that, but not on board with that, because this is where me and Clay, and he mentioned the Frank Martin pushback, right? So I tell Clay, if Frank Martin ducked, then Shakur ducked. But if Devin ducked Shakur, then, you know what I mean, then I don't see Shakur or Frank ducking each other. I just think there was just a matter of money, purse issues. I see the same thing here. So I just think it was a purse issue. Shakur just wanted the money, but yes, he did later on say, Clay, Shakur in his own words said he should have took the money. He did slap himself in the face on that one. And you're right, Dragonfly. It's 100% accurate on that.
Yeah, Dragon. I agree with you about as far as that scenario goes out. And I asked myself, and I've seen Shakur get asked about it, and I guess I wouldn't expect him to necessarily communicate regret per se. But you'd have to believe there's got to be some regret there, man. Not taking that opportunity with Devin Haney. You know, hindsight says, man, bro, that was an opportunity that he missed out on, to becoming a chance of becoming an undisputed champion at 135. He would have been able to be in a lot more powerful position in the division. I think a lot more fights would have been available to him. Fighters would have took a lot of chances out there, would have had to take their opportunities to become undisputed. He would have been busy with mandatories, with call outs and challenges and all types of things, man. I can't even lie. You know what I mean? He has to look back at it and have some some remorse about it, man. I know I do for him. You know what I'm saying? Generally, for him, I do. You know what I'm saying? So, because look at the situation, like you said, he's in right now, the booking issues. And, you know, these certain fighters, when you talk about the Shakur Stevensons of the world, when you talk about the Jerron Boots Ennises of the world, even the Tank Davises, right? Tank Davis isn't the big payday for fighters. If he doesn't have the backing of boxing, of being the face of boxing, people will be ducking him just like they ducking these guys because he's a lot of risk. You're more than likely not going to win, right? But at the same time, if he's not bringing a payday to you or he's not bringing some legacy to you, then why are you getting in the ring with a Tank Davis, right? So all these fighters and all these generational talents need that X factor that they bring to the table that entice those fights with fighters who are not maybe 100% confident that they can win. Or I won't say that because I'm going to say every fighter should be confident that they're going to win if they get in the ring. But I'm going to say those fighters with the teams around them that aren't confident in their fighter, who think that there's limitations, like shout out to Coach Panda. No disrespect, very respectfully, but he does seem like he has a limited vision on William Zepeda's abilities, and he believes that Shakur Stevenson has a lot more variety to what he brings to the ring, and he feels like William Zepeda's chances are in a certain box, and Shakur Stevenson's opportunity and chances are in this, there's no ceiling to it, right? So when you're dealing with those kind of situations to get those fighters to jump in the ring, those fighters are always going to want to jump in the ring, but their management and their trainers are always going to have some anxiety about putting these fighters in that situation, knowing in the back of their mind that they don't expect their own fighter to win the fight. There's got to be an intangible there. And with Shakur Stevenson, his intangible would have been 4 belts inside of a division. That would have been what it would have been, and that would have got him where he needs to be. Looking back at it, there's got to be some kind of regret there, a little bit. There's got to be a little bit of regret.
Sir. And J.R. Spock with another $5 super chat. Okay, you got it? Go ahead. All right. How can 135 be the best division if the champions are not willing to fight each other? Let me break this down. So, Clay, we talked about this about a year ago, if I'm not mistaken, or earlier this year when we were talking about the fighters at 135 moving out the division, the key fighters, and the same thing with 154, right? All the fighters moving out of 147 to 154. And we said the guys that were left there standing at those mountains, we was like, yo, these divisions are no longer the glamour divisions. The glamour divisions are now 140, 154. And I said, soon to be like heavyweight, when Benavidez goes up, Morrell follows, and other people start jumping in that ship. Everybody starts going to 175 from 168. So it seems like these divisions are they move around back and forth here, and it seems like you got some young talent in those divisions, especially at 135, and people are not willing to put their young talent against the veterans of the division. So now you have you have all the veterans of the division, that division that were formerly there, moving up, and that's where the fights are. The fights are to be made with these guys, and it all depends on what the fighter wants. Like Boots wants to stay undisputed. He wanted the 147 crown. Shakur wants to get the best fights at 135 because he literally is only a year and a half in 135. And I don't think he wants to just race up to 140, but he may have no choice. So why is it the best division? Because in my opinion, a lot of people see, and no disrespect to the great Tank Davis, Gervonta Davis is the guy at 135, and he right now is the king of that division, and because he is there, that's how they see it. That's the best division in boxing, or one of them, because he actually reigns supreme at the division.
Yeah, how can 135 be the best division? I agree with you, JR. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm gonna speak truth to a little bit of power here right now and say that a division where the champions don't want to fight each other, where the unification is not realistic, can't be the best division for me. Now, talent pool wise, maybe you want to give some respect to the talent that's there, but when you look at a division that looks like it's on the road to being the best division, you got to talk about 154, right? You got to talk about a division where all the fighters are anxious to fight each other, where there's less reservation on making these fights happen, and that's what the mark of a great division is to me. I don't think that if this division is going to have champions that don't want to fight each other, no, man, I can't call it the best division. It can't be, man. The best division has to have the best fights, the biggest fights happening, right? Forget about the championships and all that, just the biggest fights happening. 135 has always had the elements to be the best division, but it's never been able to get there for me personally, because it's had a lot of potential, but it's been falling short for a good 2-3 years now. As far as, Devin Haney was able to bring that type of energy there by chasing down Undisputed, and we saw an undisputed 135-pound fighter there. But then we also saw a lot of fighters in that division who were great in their own right, not caring about the belts, not wanting to fight. You saw Teofimo Lopez lose his title and then leave the division and didn't even want to fight Kambosos again, right? You saw him evading and not wanting to fight Devin Haney. You saw the same thing with a lot of the other fighters. Tank Davis saying he doesn't care about championships and fighting everybody but another title holder in a division to unify. I mean, at the end of the day, the potential is always going to be there. When you look at a division like 154, you see the potential there. But if those fighters don't want to fight each other or won't fight each other, they'll get the same exact words I'm giving right now. I just think with 154, the reason I think it's the best division in the game right now is because I don't think those fighters can evade each other. I think the division is so filled with talent that there is no bad fights that can happen at 154, belts or no belts, right? Like, you can't put a fight together at 154 right now and it not be a crazy fight. You don't go to 154 if you don't want to be in a competitive fight, because there's no cherry picks there for you. You know what I'm saying? It just isn't, right? But look, man, I'm sure if there was, we'd be talking about the same damn thing with that damn division, right? We've seen fighters do the same thing. 135 happens to be filled with a lot of talent, but there's also a lot of fighters in there like Andy Cruz, like Floyd Schofield, right? I was gonna say Raymond Mortala, but it don't seem like they're treating him that way. But there's gonna be fighters there that there's Keyshawn Davis. There's gonna be fighters there that people are gonna be able to use the excuse of, oh, they haven't fought enough people yet. They're still prospects. They're still this, and it's gonna be an excuse for the top fighters not to fight the most competitive fights in that division, and that leaves rooms for us to just be completely disappointed and let down as boxing fans to see the best fights. So I think that's gonna be difficult for anybody to make an argument to me as to why 135 is the best division if these great fights aren't happening.
Hit the horns real quick.
The horns, oh yeah.
That too. Yo, I just want to say for real, yo, that was dope. That was a great breakdown. I wanted to say yes, I credit you to saying 154 is the division, because you know what I noticed about 154, Clay? They get knocked down, they get right back up and fight again. That's what I like about the division. That's what boxing is all about. And that's why I was like, yo, Clay is on fire right now. I actually told J.R. Spock, I'm like, yo, listen to Clay's point before you give me my accolades or what I said, because Clay is on fire. I knew you was going somewhere that was going to steer us down the road of Oz and get us to that damn wizard, and he's going to send us back to Kansas, because Clay is on fire. Man, hit the horns again for Claymore Rain on dropping that fire for real. Good points, Clay.
No, I appreciate you, man. Yeah, man. Look, man, the competitive nature of the division makes a difference, man. It does, brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to have the talent there. We can recognize the talent there, but if talent isn't being properly tested, what are we looking at? Right. And I think if we, you know, I like to pride this channel and this platform on being real. You know, I don't want to say we're all hardcore boxing fans. I don't like to say that a lot, because I don't like to dismiss anybody's perspective in boxing, casual, hardcore, however you want to look at it. But in real time, in all reality, you know, this sport is the competitive nature of this sport is the only thing I think a real fan of boxing can hold on to, should be holding on to. And if the competitive nature of a fighter is not being tested, we're losing out as fans, right? When we got to be honest, when fighters aren't being challenged, us as fans, we're not getting what we're paying for. And a division that has all the talent at 135 in, it's great to talk about it. It's great to acknowledge these fighters for what they can do, but it's just something bittersweet about not being able to have it be proven in the ring, across the ring from the right challengers, across the right fights being made. There's just something bittersweet about it, right? It's just something about it that just rubs a fan like me the wrong way. So when we're talking about the best divisions, we're talking about where the best fights are happening. And I don't see that happening at 135. I can't lie to you.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? It's in and out. It's in, out, and around the best divisions that people claim they are. The glamour divisions are lightweight and welterweight. 130's even a popping division, bro. 130's got the same thing going on with 140. 140's, you know, got the same thing going on with 154. 154 is just the ultimate division. It's just where everybody is. It's like a real fight up there, bro. You're going to have these fights, and you're going to get it at 140 because these guys can't run from each other. It's like they're all in a square boxed in, and somebody has to make it to the exit, and the winner's going to get out alive. That's how it is, man. And that's what we're seeing. You know what I mean? No one expected Tim Tszyu to take that L like that and then take another L back after that. You know what I mean? No one expected Fedor to get knocked out the way he did and get up, and then the guy that knocked out Fedor got knocked out by Tim Tszyu. Yo, it's crazy that all these things just keep playing in a circle, but that's what we like about boxing because there's no triangle theory. There's no, you know what I mean? It's to expect the unexpected. It's to let things happen, let things develop. And if you're not doing it at 135, guess what? That division is going to look as it always is, and people are going to always question the champions and the fighters in that division. Even the prospects coming up are making noise, but they're not going to probably see anything because by the time they're ready, according to Oscar and the other promoters, by the time they're ready for contention, the guys that are there, the elites, they're going to already be moved out, and that's crazy. So we're starting to see a trend here, Clay, and hopefully that division does not end up like the old 140, the old 154, or the division that Canelo is currently fighting in right now, 168. We don't want to see that. We want to see these guys get in the ring and melee each other with much respect, where they're fighting to win a title or they're fighting to get in a conversation of a title. That's what we want. And we're starting to see that. Like I said, at 130, we see it. Even 126, we see it. You know what I mean? We see it at 140, and we're seeing that 154 in light heavyweight. Even the heavyweight division is bouncing back because of all this. Like, everyone's moving along and starting to clash. Getting, you know what I mean? These corners are getting smaller. This ring is getting smaller for a lot of these groups or divisions. But 135, it just seems how they just keep stretching the ring out. You just can't close the ring in on them.
Yeah, yep. Without a doubt, man. I see some engagement going on in the chat talking about even like Emiliano Vargas, who's at 154 right now. Is Emiliano? No, it's Fernando. You're talking about Fernando Vargas Jr. Okay, I thought Emiliano's at 140. Okay, so I forgot about Fernando. You're not even lying, Adam early. I forgot about Fernando Vargas. When you said it immediately, and that's messed up. Shout out to the Vargas brothers because there's that stable right there, that family structure, that father. You know, I like how they're moving over there, man. Real talented bunch of kids, man. From Emiliano, I mean, from up there with Fernando Jr. to Emiliano. Well, no, who's the middle brothers again? Name? What's his name again?
I actually forgot
his name again, but you know,
hold on. Emiliano, yeah, he's the youngest. He's the promising one.
He just fought Oscar. Armando, right?
Armando, yeah.
Right. He just beat up on Ryan Garcia's little brother recently. So at the end of the day, that camp is popping as well. 154 is jumping with Fernando there, and if we're going to bring up Fernando, we can also bring up Xander, right? Xander Zayas,
right.
Other fighters up there who are moving the needle. I'll be honest with you, I'm excited to see somebody who they're not talking about the right way, but I'm calling it because I look at stuff like this, and I'm gonna say Jaleel needs to take consideration and be like, yo, brother, you know, 147 looking kind of like a little, you know what I mean, 154 might be.
We talked about this, Clay.
Make that power move, right? So big fights come. You know, 154 got me excited. Whenever, and you know, anytime there's a fight happening in that division, it's a good fight. You know, I don't care who's fighting, even if it's somebody you didn't hear about, you're gonna be like, who's this guy, right? There are no cherry picks at 154. And that hands down is the best division in boxing and doesn't look like it's heading towards being not the division in boxing for a long time. Because when you look at the talent that's going to be coming up from 147 to go in a division, when you look at the prospects that are turning into contenders, that division is going to be competitive for a long time. You've got fighters all the way up there, obviously, with the Terrence Crawfords and potentially maybe Errol Spence, if you want to look at it out there. But if you're looking at those fighters up there who are just getting ready to leave, probably boxing at some point in time, right? But they're there, right? Jamel Charlo can come back to that division and make the division crazy. Jerron Boots Ennis looks like he's going to make his debut in that division against Virgil Ortiz, from what I understand. I'm not sure if it's been finalized or not, but I think pretty much is damn near there. But once again, another Oscar De La Hoya conversation.
I was going to say the same thing.
Right?
He looked like he's playing games. Oscar looked like he's playing games with that one, too. I ain't going front.
Listen, yeah, you know, that's all depending on Oscar De La Hoya doing what he's supposed to do. But 154 is going to be a crazy division, man. It's going to be hard to keep an O in that division. It's going to be hard to stay undefeated in that division. But yeah, man, 135 is where it's always been. It seems kind of frozen and stagnant. Everything, the only opportunities that really look like they're real opportunities for fighters to make money in that division seem to be lined up with Gervonta Tank Davis, who unfortunately, you know, at this point fighting once a year, and doesn't seem to right now doesn't seem very interested in making the biggest fights possible in that division. We'll see what happens after this Lamont Roach fight, but that's one fight, right? And that's what people really have a hard time wrapping their mind around, Ray, is the fact that it's bigger than one fight. Shakur Stevenson's career has got to add up to and amount to more than one big fight. And Gervonta Tank Davis just isn't the end all be all in the conversation for Shakur Stevenson's career. He's one fight of many other fights that also need to be made. And Shakur seems like he's starting to take that into consideration as he starts to iron out and figure out how he's going to move his chess pieces around as far as what's going to benefit him to the largest exponential strength, you know what I'm saying, in his career. He has to think about these things, and we'll see how he puts that together. Let me just tap into a little bit more of these chats in the room because there's so many going on. Shout out to everybody in the space. I haven't checked on the likes yet. I hope the likes look like what the engagement's been looking like and what the amount of people in the room's been looking like. If you haven't hit that like button, I'll just hit the button right now. So I just hit the reset. Let me see what ends up coming up. I hope it doesn't break my heart. I hope the numbers bro, it's 28 likes in here, bro. There's 37. I've seen up to over 40 people in here. Please, if you haven't, take the time to go ahead and hit that like button. It helps the channel obviously move around. It helps the algorithm. I don't really know exactly how it helps all the way 100%, but I know I've been advised by people who are smarter than me in the space that this is an important thing. So please take your time to back out. Hit that or double tap the screen if you're looking at on your phone. Hit the like button. Let's help the channel grow. That's the goal for sure. Shout out to everybody who's also engaged in the super chats, showing love on the channel as well, man. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely, man. Much respect to you all.
You know what I mean? Let me see what's going on here in the chat right here. Let's go up to Dragonfly Jones says, I can't. Let me just put it up on the screen, man. Dragonfly says, I can't wait to see any of the Vargas brothers tested against top competition. They talk a lot. Yeah, Dragon, they do talk a lot, man. And look,
they do.
You know,
I think Emilio's that guy, though.
Yeah, as boxing fans, we don't care about the shit talking, right? We like it. It starts to annoy us when we don't see the fights, right? Like it's like I love Keyshawn Davis and what he does. Some people don't. They find it cringe. I love it. I ain't gonna lie to you. When I see Keyshawn talking, calling out Tank and doing all that stuff, I'm like, yeah, talk that. You know what I mean? But I also want to see that talking manifest into something in the ring at some point, right?
Right.
So yeah, man, they've been talking a lot. Look, Emiliano's been backing it up. All the Vargas brothers have been backing up, to be honest with you, right? They've been when they get in the ring, they're giving you super exciting fights, man. You're not thinking about them winning necessarily as much as being excited that they're just going to be fighting, because you know what kind of fight it's going to be when they get in the ring. Winning is just a cherry on top of the pie and continues moving on continues to move the train forward, right? As far as their marketing is concerned, but you just love to see them fight. That's what they bring to the table. I'm definitely very interested in seeing I actually haven't seen Fernando fight in a minute. I feel like
he's been out for a while. I think he's earlier in the year.
Yeah, he needs to kind of get active as well. It looks like the family has been more coming together behind Emiliano a little bit and kind of building him up. They're betting on him a little bit, but Fernando and Armado, stay active, man, because you guys are exciting fighters as well, and we love to see those guys compete as well. You know what I mean? Let's see.
Armado just had that fight though.
Yeah, Armado just had that fight. Yeah, exactly. That's why I said stay active. But Fernando's the one who really hasn't been active. You know what I mean? For real. Right. Amato looks like he kind of got blessed with the activity, being that it happened on the card that it did and the way it happened. But it is what it is, right?
Right.
Let's see here. Zoo. Salute to Zoo. I'm not familiar with you all the way, family. I don't remember you being here, but welcome to the channel. Hopefully you subscribed as well, man. Appreciate you being here, man. Salute to you, King. He says these fighters want to take the Mayweather route, but don't know Mayweather and Diego Corrales fought each other at 23. Talk about it, Zoo.
Yep. And that was like Floyd's third biggest fight, believe it or not. That wasn't even his biggest fight yet, because he was still at 135 or 130. No, he moved to 135 actually at that point. Diego was on his way up. He was actually trying to get out the division because he outgrew the division, but he just had to have that fight because he wanted to be the one to stop Floyd, because Floyd was on the rise like he was. So I mean, that's how fights are supposed to happen. Salute to 2 Cents in the building. What up?
What up, though? 2 Cents, what's good with you, family? Select the Styles. What's up, Clay? Talk your talk, no doubt. Select the Styles. I'm not once again another new person to a degree. I think Select the Styles. I appreciate you guys all showing up, man. I'm loving the engagement that we're getting with these new hours, working in the day rather than in the evening. We try to do the Monday evenings as well, but you know it's a pain in the tail, man. When you work as hard as I do, it's hard to like stay as alert as I am right now in the daytime. In the evening, it's difficult. You guys have seen it. The yawning is happening. You know what I mean? The clock is ticking on me. You know what I mean? I'm an old man. I'm 47 years old, going to be 48 years old. And I can say one of the main things I see coming in my way as far as getting up in age is that clock, man. That circadian rhythm. When that clock hits about like 10:30, bro, my body start to acting wild, bro. The yawning start happening. I start being exhausted. I don't even know where it comes from. I remember when I used to be able to rock out till 2, 3 in the morning, be up all night playing video games. I can't do it right now. Yeah, 10:30, 11 o'clock, I turn on that video game system. I'm dozing off in between
missions.
You know what I'm saying? In between missions, I'm dozing off. If it's not pure action happening the whole time, as soon as it slows down, your boy is struggling in his lazy boy. You heard?
Yo, Clay, every time I fall asleep on the screen, bro, when you get into it. In the middle of the night, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, you know what I mean?
Nothing,
like,
right? You don't even know it happened. Somebody got to let you know how it happened, right? Yeah, somebody got to let you know. You know what you did last night? Nah, yeah, bro. You just fell the hell out, bro, out of nowhere, bro.
What it do, J Cash Money?
I had to tuck you in, put a blanket over you and everything, bro, and just let you sleep when you was out. You want to wake you up. You were so peaceful, brother. You were so peaceful. Pause. I'm just saying, right? Like, you so peaceful. I just threw a blanket over you, shut the lights off.
Yeah. Right. Like, yo, we're gonna just leave him there, yo. Let me just throw over the back room.
Yeah, bro. He probably catching up on some sleep. Clearly, he's catching up, bro. Let him catch up, bro. Don't let him. You know what I mean? What did Texas 16 said? Texas 16 said after 40. He said after 40, that's dead. It shows on our face when you get tired. 100% Texas. You know how we trying to make it out here. We got to learn the hard way. You know what I mean? They say you go to sleep one day and you wake up and you realize you're old, bro. It just happens that quick. You just wake up one morning and realize it's not the same as it was yesterday. You know what I'm saying? But we still in the building. Listen, Nine Fingers said 47 years old. Stop it, player. You see, Nine Fingers a little bit older, so he ain't trying to hear our excuses because he's still getting up early in the morning.
And shit.
The roosters are going off when that sun comes up. You know what I mean? Nine Fingers is up. He don't want to hear no excuses. He's like, damn it, if I could do it, you guys can do it. I ain't trying to hear none of that nonsense you talking about right there, boy. What he said, I ain't trying to hear none of that. You know what I mean?
Nah.
I hear you, brother. I hear you, man. We got to do better, man. I got to get in the gym more often and do better, man. Because you're probably right. I shouldn't be dozing off between missions in the video game.
You got that libido stick.
Yeah. It is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Salute J Cash, the money man in the building as well, man. J Cash, the money man in the building. Shit, man, taking a lunch break, chilling. No doubt, J Cash. I appreciate you spending that lunch break with us, man. That's what's up. Thank you, King.
Iron Kong, salute. I said the same thing, except wrong that guy.
Never trust the snow appreciator. You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. But yeah, it is what it is with Oscar. And you kind of were segueing into another topic as well, as far as this, you know, we can talk a little bit more about this February 22nd card that's trying to get put together. I don't think the fights have really been finalized. I did hear that the Better Bivol 2 fight was signed and done. I heard that's actually locked in. Everything else seems to be close to it, but no cigar. And we can get into the Virgil Ortiz versus Jaron Boots Ennis fight. Obviously, Eddie Hearn speaking towards people are upset with Eddie, right? They said Eddie tried to swindle Virgil Ortiz into coming down to 147, and he felt like it was unethical for him to do that. I understand where people are coming from, but I don't think Eddie was trying to be unethical. I have a little bit of a different perspective as to what we're looking at when we're talking about the Jaron Boots Ennis conversation, as far as what it's difficult, right? Like Eddie Hearn is a promoter of one of a generational talent in Jaron Boots Ennis, who a lot of people are forecasting to see him in pound for pound conversations, right? Soon, as soon as he can get in the right fights. And you're dealing with a family that's very legacy driven, right? BO0GIE Ennis, Boots Ennis, very legacy driven. When they talking about what they want to do, they say, listen, man, it's clear. They don't hold no words. They say, I want to unify 147 and I want to go up to 154 and do the same thing. It's about legacy. It's not about money for us right now. Wink, wink, because it's always right now with these fighters, right? At some point, the money is going to start becoming very important, but it seems like with Boots, The most important thing is legacy. And what's happening right now in Boots' career is that where he was considering moving up to 154 because of the lack of opportunity at 147 at him achieving legacy, things may have changed a little bit for him based on the fact that he had a performance where people feel like he finally looked beatable, and it looks like the other champions are finally talking correctly, right? You hear Brian Norman saying that he wants to make Boots Ennis a priority for the next fight that he gets in for his son. You see Mario Barrios speaking a little bit more freely, saying that he's willing to go ahead and make these fights happen. Conor Benn is now completely not suspended anymore, and he's trying to get into conversations at 147. There seems to be some opportunities that are starting to show up for Boots Ennis at 147, and it looks like Eddie Hearn was trying to have Boots have his cake and eat it at the same time, right? Like, all right, we want to get this turkey money. We already kind of said we were ready to go to 154, but now we're hearing all this conversation about fighters who actually want to fight us now at 147. But at the same time, we don't want to miss out on the opportunity. So if we can get Virgil to fight us at 147, that lets us keep our belt, right? Because if we go and compete at 147, at 154 for a belt, that even though it's an interim title, does Boots' IBF title become in danger of being taken away from him, or even his ability to unify? How about even if he can keep all of that, him losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight? Is that the kind of career that he wants to deal with right now? He probably would be more comfortable with just having Boots stay at
Big Dre.
With Big Dre in the building. Salute, Big Dre.
Yes,
Salute.
sir. Yo, shout out, play real quick. Shout out to the JBT showing some love in the building today, man. Shout out for real. Make sure y'all hit the like button, everybody that's in there. You know what I mean? Get the likes up. As Clay said, you know what I mean? Feel free to support if you can. And also, you know what I mean, subscribe if you haven't.
Right, 100%, right? So it seems like Boots is in a complicated situation, and it seems like Eddie Hearn's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. I think Eddie gets a real bad name in the game, right? They don't give him any opportunity. Anything he shows that kind of looks like it could be weird, they're quick to kind of point the finger at him and take away, his real intentions, which I think his intentions is promoting boxing. I think he wants to promote fights. He wants to promote the biggest fights. He wants to be part of these conversations, right? And he wants his fighters to be in those conversations. Clearly, the payday is there for him as well, but also the opportunity for the fighter to get paid and also pursue some legacy as well. And sometimes the promoter's vision and the fighter's vision doesn't necessarily align always. And I think Eddie always tries to make sure that he's on the right side of the conversation. So when it comes to Boots Ennis, where it's clear that he wants Boots to go to 154 to make these big fights and get this big money, he's also trying to stay in the realm of what Boots and BO0GIE wants. And if there's an opportunity there for Boots to get a unification title fight down there, to even chase undisputed and the things that he came into the agreement saying that he wanted, I think Eddie's going to try to make that happen. So naturally, I think it's up to Virgil and it's up to Oscar, to guide Virgil's career. So although Virgil had complications medically, losing that weight and staying at 147, it's like, listen, I'm going to put the offer out there. If you don't want it, say you don't want it. We'll move the negotiation forward. We want the fight to happen one way or the other. But listen, man, I'm not going to act like it doesn't benefit my fighter for him to fight and stay at 147 right now. So I'm going to pursue that because that's my job, is to represent his best interest. What do you think, Ray?
I totally agree. I think what we're looking at with Eddie Hearn is stuck between a rock and a hard place because Boots' performance, and we have to, and now, time out. Let me rephrase this. The performance of Karen Kukajan was so great that people are really sleeping on what Boots can do, and they feel that now he has a vulnerability, and they feel that they can threaten his vulnerable skills and attack him and beat him, possibly embarrass him. He's not the guy we thought he was. So I heard you say all the names that was looking at him. Stevie Rashidi even got back in the mix of things, right? He's out there calling out people trying to get big fights. You have Blair the Flair going to the press conference, pretending to be a journalist, asking questions on stage like, yo, can we get it popping? We both from Philly. We can bring it in Philly. We're going to make it happen. Like, Boots is changed to a whole different mindset. Eddie knows what he's got now. Eddie sees it. He sees the pot of gold. You know what I mean? He sees it right now. He's like, damn, okay, I see something over here. But he like, yo, after I get that over there, I can actually move up here. So as far as the Virgil Ortiz coming down, I don't think that's a stretch. I mean, I get the situation with Eddie, Virgil, struggling to make the weight before, getting sick and things like that. That's all on training. Virgil probably can make 147. There's a 7 pound difference. He probably can still do it. It was just probably the lack of him properly doing it. In my point of view. But if he can't, guess what? Then let it happen at 154. And if he goes to 154, Boots has to stay there. I don't see him coming back down. I don't think he needs to come back down because that's when you get caught off guard. That's when the moments happen where you don't expect these guys to play nice when you come back down because your weight has changed, your development has changed, your strength has changed. Like all that has changed, and you're not the same fighter. You're not taking on just like a take-on fight to prep yourself for the next fight if you're taking on a champion. So staying at 154 might be the best way for him to move up. He's going to have some killers up there. He's going to have more people willing to fight him there than he would at 147 anyway. Because he goes down there and knocks Brian Norman's head off or knocks off, punches Barrio in the face. And Barrio's a big payday. That's not to mention that, Clay. Barrios just made $3 million his last fight. So you think he's gonna take anything less than that? Absolutely not. To fight Boots,
he's gonna ask for a lot of money. 100%.
Right? He's gonna ask $45 to $5 million to make that fight. So you're talking about a huge payday now. That's why his name is. That's why he threw his name in there. He's like, yo, if one lose a draw, I'm gonna make this bread. So it's definitely gonna change, and it's definitely gonna bring a different character to Eddie Hearn and some decisions to make, some tough decisions to make, and see what happens. But I think 154 is in 147 is in the sun. What do you call it? In the background, and 154 is in the future. I think we see Boots making that move. He may get one more fight there. If he takes this fight with Virgil at 154, he might as well stay there. I don't see him making it back. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to Big Dre with the support in the channel. $2 holler from Big Dre. I appreciate you, King. Thank you, family. Thank you. I appreciate the support, man. Thanks for keeping some color in the chat and keeping us moving in the right direction, right? Let's see here. Adam Hurley said something in here. He says, do you think Virgil gives Boots problems, Clay? Listen, man. Ray Davis always says this. I've heard other people say it as well, but Ray Davis always says you're only good as your last fight, right? That's what we judge you on. And seeing the way Boots performed in his last fight, you would have to give Virgil Ortiz more of a chance in this fight, right? You'd have to look at what Virgil Ortiz brings to the table, and you'd have to say, listen, he brings punching power. He brings stopping power. He's an aggressive fighter, stays on that front foot. And he has a high knockout ratio. So when you think about the way you saw Boots Ennis kind of getting hit by Karen, even though we have to give Karen a lot of credibility as far as his fundamental skills that he brought to the table, and that he had to make those opportunities happen by moving properly, keeping his head off that line, engaging, staying inside of that mid-range space where he was also in danger to jump on those opportunities. Regardless of how you look at it, you have to say if Karen was able to hit Boots, but not, let's be 100, I did not see Karen necessarily hurt Boots, right? But he was able to connect with a lot of shots. You saw him also get hit with a lot of shots against David Avanesian. People are crediting that to Boots' inability to kind of step up and be on his A game against these fighters that he know are not in his level, that are not in his class, and that he probably was letting a lot of things slide that you would expect him not to do against the top level, upper echelon competition that's out there. But regardless, seeing him perform the way he did in his last fight, you got to give Virgil Ortiz a better chance. Now, also Virgil Ortiz coming off of a lackluster performance as well, right? Not lackluster, let me not say that. That's not true, because that was one of the fights of the year, maybe the fight of the year between him and Serhiy Bohachuk. But I'll say that he did show that when he gets in the ring with that good boxer, that he may have some issues, right? He was also getting punched on a lot. He got put down twice, twice in that fight.
2 times.
Yeah, he walked away with a win, but he got put down as well. So you have to ask yourself, when you put Boots in that fight, what does Boots do with Virgil, right? So it's going to be a more competitive fight. I'll say that. As far as we're expecting this to be a shootout, both these fighters have a lot on the line. Virgil has his legacy and what he's trying to move forward and do. Let's not forget, Virgil's on his redemption tour. He's coming back from medical issues and people thinking that he wasn't going to be the same, and he's shown the world that he's back better than ever. And Jerron Boots Ennis, of course, for the first time in a long time, is actually being questioned as to whether or not he's really who he's been, quote unquote, hyped up to be, right? They're saying, listen, as the competition gets higher, if you can see Karen do that against Boots, if you can see David Avanesian have success in that fight against Boots, well, what do you think is going to happen when he goes to 154, where the punchers are punching way harder? And you got people like Terrence Crawford in the division, and Ismail Majimov, and you got Bakram in there, and people who can not only punch hard but also are great boxers in their own right as well. Can they take advantage of what we saw there? All parts of the reasons why we're all excited to see what's going to happen, and it makes the fight that much more intriguing, right? To know that they're going to face each other and we're going to have to get all these boxes checked at some point. That's what we're hoping to see. It looks like that's what's going to happen. Like I said, I'm hearing that this deal is almost done. More than likely, well over 90% chance this fight is going to happen. And when it does happen, from what I understand, everybody is expecting for it to happen at 154, which in turn is the big question that I'm always going to constantly bring up with, is this a close to the chapter of 147 pounds with Jerron Boots Ennis if he does make this move to 154 to become an interim WBC title holder at 154? Has he closed off the chapter at 147? And you know, there's got to be a little FOMO there, but I'm interested in how does everybody feel about potentially missing out on these fights that finally in the last minute look like they may be available for Jerron Boots Ennis, right? They look like they might be there, and it's like there's a little FOMO for me where I'm just like, man, but I do kind of want to see him fight Brian Norman, though. Like, they really sold that fight. They talked so much ish. It was such a messy public negotiation. You kind of it would be kind of nice to get some closure. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To that situation that ended up in a fight where we can kind of get some questions asked, but in the bigger picture of things, in the marathon version of this whole entire race called these guys' boxing career, it will be kind of bittersweet to see him leave the division, knowing or thinking that there was such a higher chance of those fights being made, right? What's going on here in the chat here? I'm trying to stay engaging with you guys, man. Dragonfly Jones says Virgil can definitely give Boots problems at 154. I'm still going with
disagree. Oh yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to just touch in on this, and I'm going to let it go. I just want you guys to realize one fight. We've seen a fighter like Virgil fight Boots, and Boots dominated this guy. Matter of fact, he made a spectacle of him, and that was Roman Villa. So let's not look too far down the line and think that that's going to be any different. He will do the same thing that he did to Roman Villa, and he will dominate him, and they will be throwing in that towel. I promise you.
Well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, right? But I think at the end of the day, more intriguing, more competitive. The fight is going to be something even more to watch now because of these last two performances that they're coming from. Virgil got dropped how many times in the last fight? I think it was 2 times, right, Green Villain?
2.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you know what I mean? And he was hurt 100%. Green Villain. BO0GIE is the person who beats Mendoza, who beat Fundora 100%. I thought Virgil got a gift with that win. He lost, in my opinion. Yeah, it was a close fight, man. I had to watch it twice. The first time I saw it, I was okay with Virgil winning. The second time I saw it, I was okay with people saying Serhii Bohachuk won it. It could have been a draw or a win either way. It definitely wasn't a robbery, though. I know a lot of people pushing that narrative. That's not what I feel like that happened in that fight. But it is what it is. Boots gonna let's see here. Boots is gonna have to flatline little Virgil, or Virgil's dad throw the towel in 100%. That's what Ray was just saying. Let's see. Non-Finger says, can Boots handle Ortiz pressure? We're going to have to see, right? I'll be honest with you. I would like to think that Boots doesn't sit there and play that game with Virgil, that he jumps into the other part of his game that I think a lot of people are sleeping on, his ability to box, to keep the distance, to not just sit there and shoot out with Virgil Ortiz and give Virgil Ortiz his only real opportunity to win that fight, right? Like, catch him, hit, don't get hit. I'd like to see Boots fight that way. Maybe some people don't. Maybe some people think that Boots would be boring all of a sudden, or I don't know how people would look at it, but I would be entertained to see Boots' IQ show up in that fight against Virgil Ortiz, because I think he has a bigger IQ. You know what I'm saying? He has a broader span of tools to pick from. He doesn't have to fight mid-range and all aggressive and trade shots. He can fight as a great slick boxer. He's shown that. Even with Roman Villa, he was showing that. You know what I mean? And when he went into the Matrix, he showed his ability to be slick and hit and not get hit, and win a fight that way, and it still be dominant and it still be exciting. So hopefully he doesn't sit there and do that kind of fight with Virgil Ortiz where he's just in the mid-range, going blow for blow for blow, trying to see who's going to fall down. But if he does, that's where Virgil Ortiz has his best opportunity to shine. And guys, I'm gonna let you know right now, Virgil Ortiz punching on anybody is not something anybody should willfully just be jumping in there and dealing with. If that's a fight Boots wants to fight, clearly he can beat Virgil in that space. But I promise you, just as I'm sitting here in front of you today, one thing's for certain, two things for sure. Virgil does have the power to put Boots on his
Yes,
pocket.
he does.
You know
Yep,
what I'm saying?
I agree. He can definitely do so.
Don't get it twisted. He's not Avanesian and he's not Karen. He got the power. He turning them punches over and he can put that man on his pockets. So we'll see what he does that night. Virgil going to capitalize on that TO on that like TO did versus Josh Taylor. Okay, all right.
On Boots?
Yeah, I think he's basically saying that, too much lag time in between punches. Yeah, he's basically saying that. Yeah, I think he's kind of agreeing with what I was just saying as far as if it's that mid-range fight, if it's that fight, that back and forth, Virgil can capitalize. And I agree, man.
Yeah, I see that. But he's a body snatcher, so
Boots has to, that too, right, for sure. Boots has to strategically just, the game plan has to be the game plan for Virgil. Once Boots hits 154 pounds, he has to start preparing for the fighters he's getting in the ring with. And I'm not trying to say that he hasn't been doing it, right? But it does look like he's kind of been doing his cookie cutter version of himself in these last couple of fights he's been in, because he doesn't respect the fighters that are there. And he's mentioned it in the post-fight press conferences, right? That he's kind of like, been having a good time and he kind of needs to step up the competition. He is going to have to start strategically planning for these fights. He's not going to be able to fight Virgil Ortiz the way he fights Bakram. He's not going to be able to fight Bakram the way he fights Ishmael. He's not going to be able to fight Ishmael the way he fights Sebastian Fundora. He's not going to be able to fight Sebastian Fundora the same way he fights Erickson Lubin. These are all fighters that bring different intangibles to the space. They're all very threatening in their own right and can hurt Boots. And he's going to have to start him and BO0GIE are going to have to start strategically planning for these fighters on an individual basis. And if they try to cookie cutter this division will expose you. It has the ability to do it. He definitely can do it. Let me see. Boots will sit down on his punches more at 54. That's what people also say. Expecting Boots to be more powerful, to be more hydrated, to be a more complete fighter in that division, a more confident fighter at 154. And this is things that his team has been talking about for at least the last year to 2 years. Coach Terrell has spoken on it. People who spar Boots in the ring, in the gym, people who deal with Boots are saying that Boots walking around that 190, 175, 180 Boots is a dangerous person. He's even more dangerous. He's even more threatening, more powerful. So you have to assume as he goes up in weight, going from 147 to 154, that he's probably going to become even more of a threat than he was at 147. So while we talk about what Boots has got to be aware of in 154, I don't think we talk about it the same amount about how much more dangerous he's going to be at 154 as well, right, Ray?
Exactly. That's what I was getting at earlier. That's what I said. I see this thing going kind of like the Roman Villa fight. I really do. Unfortunately, I do think Virgil has a great opportunity to beat Boots. I mean, he's a boxer, and they get in the ring to do so, box. I just see that there's some skill set differences, and I also see some speed differences that can be the challenge here. Now, if one of those shots do land for Virgil Ortiz, which I expect them to do, how does Boots accept it? How does the adversity turn into it? How does Boots prepare for something like that? That's what it really comes down to. And I just see that Boots is going to definitely stay mid range, but he's going to keep that wide range at this point as a wide foot stance at this point where Echo was up here talking about he was too wide to be at that distance, because when you're at a wide distance, you have a wide foot stance at a distance. It's harder to move out the way of your fighter because he can close in on you. But when you're in the mid range, you have it. That's better balance technique, in my opinion. And that allows you to have a better, like people were saying, stand on your ground and throw back at people. Shout out to BG, aka Bullet Gibson, in the building. That dude up here dropping some serious boot accusations in the chat. But I like what you're saying there, brother.
He's dropping some real scholarship in the chat today. You know what I'm saying? Some real scholarship in the chat today. You know what I mean? He says Boots is going to walk Virgil into shots and force Virgil to be cautious. Watch and see.
That's
man.
what I was looking at. Yep.
Yeah, I think that. Listen, man, I think Boots, without a doubt, Ray and Bullet, like, we know what he can do, right? The only questions any of us should be having going into the fight is, what is he gonna do, right? Like, we know he can do a lot of different things in this fight, but we have to ask ourselves, and that's going to be the question. Me personally, I'm going to be looking for when you're watching a fight, you go into the fight with boxes that you want checked. I always tell you guys that, right? Any fight I go into watching, I go and I say, I want to see this box checked. I want to see if he does this. I want to see how he deals with that. I want to see all these different things, right? With Boots, I want to see Boots walk into this fight with a plan for Virgil Ortiz that we can see, and it'll give us a lot of foresight on what to expect from Boots at 154 pounds. If he plans a fight and takes advantage of Virgil's weak points and capitalizes on those weak points and capitalizes on his own strengths, and he just makes this fight a one-sided affair, that I think most boxing fans who watch Boots believe he can do that, right? Does he choose to do that? Does he tune out the crowd? Does he stop trying to showboat? Does he stop trying to make the fight a spectacle and just focus on winning these fights one at a time, which I think adds up to respecting the division that he's in, right? If he does that, are we ready to see Boots and give him back those accolades and take away that hype job jacket that they're trying to put on him and come back to reality to say that this kid is one of the most dangerous kids at 154 and we're expecting great things for him? You know what I mean?
I want to actually add one more thing to that.
Mm-hmm.
Does BO0GIE put him in the right position and give him the right tutelage this time? Does Boots listen to BO0GIE when he's giving them information? Is it going to be a great combination of dad and son in the ring as they've been before? That's what it really comes down to ultimately. I think that was a big issue with the Karen fight, and I think that was a big issue with the fight prior to that with Avanesian. I think Boots got a little happy and felt that he was able to withstand everything coming forward. And I think the frustration happened because him and his dad just weren't on the same page. And his dad's only mission was get him out of there.
Right.
When everyone's sitting there, whoa, what happened to the pep talk? What happened? What you seeing? You know what I mean? What's his angles? Why are you not calling these things out? That right there was a very uncomfortable situation to watch on TV with a father and son, as we see with other father and son duels in the ring. So I think that would be the main point of this fight, because if we see Virgil Ortiz in the ring, he's with Robert Garcia, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, and Robert Garcia is known to give great information to his fighters. Even when he sees them losing, he still gives them checks and boxes and points to go check those boxes. So that's what I want to see on the other end of that ring if that does happen in the blue corner.
Yeah. Look, man, shout out to Texas 16 South. He's saying something real important right here. And, and I want to speak on it because at times we get, I'm a Boots fan. I like to see Boots fight, but we can't discredit what Virgil Ortiz, the intangibles that he brings to this fight, man. And he can win this fight. And it's not far-fetched at all. I know some people want to say it's far-fetched. I disagree. I think he can very realistically win this fight. And I'm going to talk about Virgil Ortiz and his evolution as a fighter and how valuable that last fight he had with Serhii Bohachuk was to him. That experience for great fighters, that experience evolves them. It brings them to the next level. That growth, that experience, the importance of competitive fights show in a fight like that, and will show better in even better performance against Jerome Boots Ennis. I'll go on record to say that fight came at the right time for Virgil Ortiz, because it was his first real fight at 154, because he was doing his catchweight thing, so he had to be disciplined and structured in his nutrition for this fight, and he weathered a storm with a hard punching, high level, high IQ fighter in an Eastern European, Serhii Bohachuk, who stepped into that ring and showed him, and truly, in my opinion, welcomed Virgil Ortiz to 154, right? And said, yeah, man, welcome to 154. This ain't 147. You know what I'm saying? Congratulations on your win. A lot of people don't agree with it, but you got a win. But more importantly than the win, you got your ass whooped, didn't you? You got your ass whooped, right? So now Robert Garcia and Virgil Ortiz has had an opportunity to have a real experience, some real video footage, some real data to process, and they have to now come together and do what, Ray? adjust. We're going to
Just
be looking for the adjustments from Virgil Ortiz in this fight. We're going to look to see, has his IQ gone up? Did he learn from the mistakes he made in that fight? Is he a better fighter for that fight he had with Serhii Bohachuk? I'm going to be looking to see all those adjustments. And like he said, he says here, and I'm going to read what Texas 16 said before I go any further. He says, Virgil's going to operate at a pace once the stakes rise. I like that. Boots ain't seen or felt before. In rounds 10, 11, and 12, the championship rounds, that Texas cross-country run its heart surfaces. In other words, Virgil Ortiz's ability to turn up in those rounds, to fight like it's early in the match. And Boots is going to have to tap into that energy as well, right? He's going to have to keep up with that pace. Virgil's going to be able to put that pace on him. And I think this fight serves to be Boots's true introduction into 154. This is a welcome to the 154-pound division fight for Boots Ennis. If you've never seen one before, this is what it's going to be. And it's going to humble Boots in a way, but I think it's also going to reassure Boots and his team about who he is at 154, because I'm going to be honest with you, as confident as I know that team is, ain't nothing like the real thing, right? Ain't nothing like the fight happening and you doing well in that fight and you showing the world that you deserve to be in there, because Boots is not jumping into that division as some prospect. He's jumping into it going directly into an interim title fight. So after the win on this fight, he's directly in the hornet's nest, right in the shark-infested waters, right in the competition with the highest level of competition that 154 has to offer him, because he's going right into titles, mandatory positions, fighting. In this fight right here in particular, he's going to be a mandatory to Sebastian Fundora. You know what I'm saying? After this fight. And he's there, obviously, with Terrence Crawford also sitting in there. Terrence might take it away from him, and maybe Sebastian chooses to defend his WBO mandatory title against Terrence, even though I'm be real with you, I don't think Terrence wants to really fight at 154. I don't think he really wants to fight anymore as much as fight Canelo. He just wants to fight Canelo and keep it moving. But still, with a win here for Jaron Boots Ennis, it puts him right in the hornet nest. And this fight between Virgil Ortiz and him is going to be a fight that lets him know and lets the world know what we should expect from Boots, and also even Virgil Ortiz. We're going to see if he can, because let's talk about it on the other side, Ray. If Virgil Ortiz walks away with a win, stops Boots or dominates him, or even wins a close split decision, listen, man, we're going to have to give Virgil Ortiz his flowers, man, and we're going to have to stop playing with him, talking about who he really is in the division. Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely. And I just want to touch on this, what you just said. I think win, lose, or draw for each one of them will put them in the hornet's nest, because that division is just so stacked, and it doesn't seem that a loss keeps you from getting back into the fire at the end of the day. It's just such a well-rounded division, so full of competition. You're always going to be, next up in line. So, it's just moving on to the next one at the end of the day. So we can see, hey, let's see what happens, man. Absolutely. Bullet Gibson had a specific question for you.
All right, what Bullet said. Bullet said, this is off topic, but y'all see what they say about Raymond Moratala might have a fight with Zoro Abdulev. Yeah, for that IBF, right? Yeah, for a possible vacant IBF title fight. I think it might be interim, or Loma might vacate. Yeah, Bullet, listen, man, that has been the rumor. Moratala actually spoke towards this a little bit the night he fought on his last fight. I can't remember who he fought, but I know he stopped him. And he just basically talked about his next fight being very important to him, that it's going to be a title fight. And obviously the question came up about Dennis Berinchyk and who's going to actually get that fight between him and Keyshawn. And he spoke a little bit in the direction of, like, potentially being able to, jump on a vacated belt by Vasily Lomachenko if Vasily retires, like the rumors said he would. It looks like one way or another, it's either going to be him fighting Abdulev, either fighting him for the vacant title, or maybe him even directly getting a fight with Vasily Lomachenko. Obviously, we know this all depends on what Bob Arum is thinking and how he looks at it. But yeah, I've been hearing it. It's all rumors. I don't think anything's been solidified one way or the other what's going to happen. I don't think they can solidify it, being that we don't really know what Vasily's going to do yet, right? We don't even understand what he's going to do all the way yet. It's been rumors. But yeah, I've heard about it, man. I've definitely heard what you're hearing, man. I just don't know if it's solid yet. I think it's still just cooking and coagulating into something that'll manifest hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and we'll get better understanding what's going on with that. You know what I
mean? Yes, sir. Understood that. That's cool. And I think you were on Black Belt Jones had a statement you were reading.
Oh, yeah. Let me see. Hope Boots makes one more attempt for a champion at 147 before he moves up to 154 for Virgil. Yeah, man.
That's
That's
me
what I was
too.
talking about. Yeah, that's what I was talking about Dragonfly a little earlier, right? That FOMO, right? It just seems like the opportunities are there for him now where they weren't there before. But I'll tell you what, man, timing is everything in this sport, man. And you only, like Oscar said one time, boxers get a certain time window to make these things happen. You know, they get a certain window. And, you know, I think Boots is on the edge of maybe it's too late for 147. And I'm not saying that as far as his ability to compete there, but listen, man, opportunity comes knocking. You got to answer the door. And the big opportunity for Boots right now is 154 is not only there for him as far as the fights, but, you know, the paydays are there with Turki Al-Sheikh being so intrigued at the idea of Boots Andis competing up there. He gets an opportunity to get everything on one division. He gets the legacy up there with all the big fights and the championships there. He gets the money up there with Turki Al-Sheikh, right? And he gets the activity as well at 154. It's just a lot to turn away from, right? For Boots to turn away from that off the hope that the way fighters have been talking lands him in fights. And I'm going to have you guys reference one thing that's very important. Let's look at Floyd Schofield and Shakur Stevenson right now, right? As much as Shakur Stevenson has offered Schofield an opportunity, the reality is talk on social media is cheap, isn't it? Talk is cheap. It's one thing to say what you want. It's a whole nother conversation to get what you want. So although fighters are talking very confidently about fighting Jaron Boots Ennis right now, does he tap into his experience with the division where there's a lot of talk, but nobody's actually backing up with any type of real play, any type of real action? Does he turn away from his guaranteed money that's there, like people asked Shakur to do, right? When they said, Shakur, wait for Tank. And he's like, I'm not waiting, bro. There's no reason for me to wait. I'm going to move in this direction where I have other opportunities outside of Tank. And if Tank is serious and wants his fight to happen and wants his legacy fight to happen, he'll do what he's got to do to make the fight happen. Until that happens, I'm going to move on and go move on with my career. Does Jaron Boots Ennis say the same thing and say, listen, I hear you guys talking now. I was calling you guys out for years, it feels like. You know what I'm saying? For months at least. You guys are all giving me the gas face. Nobody wanted to take the bread. I've heard rumors that Eddie Hearn had sent offers to every single one of the champions in that division in order to make a fight for Jaron Boots Ennis after the David Avanesian fight, and nobody responded with positive information. They all turned it down. They all said it was enough money. They all priced themselves out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He didn't end up with nothing but a damn Karen Kukajajan at the end of the day in Philadelphia. That ended up being one of his biggest challenges he's ever had in his career, right? So moving forward, does he sit there and believe these guys, or does he take the opportunity that's right there for him to be part of one of the biggest cards of the year next year, headlined by Better Beef Bivol, right? On a Riyadh season card, and more than likely going to be his highest payday that he's ever gotten. Decisions, right, Ray?
It's all about decisions, man. All about those choices. Do I go for the gold or do I go for the bag? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, man. Guys, if you're in the building and haven't hit the like button, just to remind you guys, if you haven't done it, please don't forget to do so. Hit the like button. Let's keep this let's get this channel on the proper algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed, definitely take a moment to go ahead and do that as well. That was off topic. That's what he had said before. Bullet said, I've seen Boots in a fight with a guy that fights in an aggressive come forward style. It was that Ukrainian guy, Bakhtir, Ayubov. Yeah. About 147, right? Let's be honest. A little different than 154. Boots made that guy hold his guard tight and be patient with his actual counters. Yeah, Boots has the ability to do that, man. But we'll just got to see what it looks like. We got to see what Boots did in 147 looks like at 154. How about that? You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen him prove himself 100% at 147. But 154, right? It's a zebra with different stripes, a tiger with different stripes up there. You know what I'm going to do, Ray? I'm going to go ahead and put the link out there real quick, guys.
Sure.
I don't want to be on here all day, but I do want to give an opportunity to anybody who wants to speak their mind or tap into any of the conversation that we had on the channel today, and then we'll call it a day, man. You know what I mean? It's Friday.
Yeah, I think Greg Gambino was trying to get up. I think we had what's his name also trying to get up Edwin. So I mean, so far that's what I've seen.
He might have bounced. I don't know if he's still there or not. He might actually be doing his own show right now as well. I don't know yet. But yeah, there's a link, guys. If you want to come up and build, feel free to. We'll sit up here and kick it a little bit with you guys. Other than that, we'll probably close it out at some point. right? And move on with our Friday. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you
Absolutely.
guys, I've been getting nice with Undisputed, man. I've been playing this game. Listen, man, I like the game, man. I know what people's complaints are about the characters in the game, and you know how it's more of a UK version of Fight Night, damn near. Even when you hear the trainers in the corner are from UK. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird to see Roy Jones getting advice from a UK dude. Not, you know what I'm saying? Not having his trainer in the corner or any of those guys, right? Any of the black fighters doing that. So, but look, the fight itself, the quality of the gameplay, I like. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. So I've been getting nice at that, been chilling. Today I'm gonna eat some leftovers, look in the fridge and see what the hell's left over from yesterday. I don't know. You know what I mean? What's in there? Because you know when you sleep, when the cat's away, the mice will play. And these kids wake up all throughout the middle of the night, just snacking before you know it, shit's gone. You know what I'm saying?
The fingers become forks, right?
Right, bro. They just constantly in that damn refrigerator. What did Pop say on Friday? Every time I'm in the kitchen, in the fridge, you in the kitchen, in the fridge. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It is what it is, man. But the link is there, guys. It doesn't look like anybody's really trying to come on. I know it's Friday. You guys are chilling, relaxing. Some of y'all at work, so I'm not expecting it to be crazy. Just giving an opportunity for you guys to touch base on the platform. If there's nothing that's left to be said, I don't know, Ray, is there something you wanted to cover? I wanted to speak a little bit about, obviously, and I don't know, I might probably just save it for next week, because next week we got some big fights coming. We got a nice weekend of fights coming on December 7th. We got Liam Paro and Richard Hitchinson fighting on the 7th, and we also have Oscar Valdez and Navarrete fighting. That's going to be a sequel fight. And also, of course, a fight that I've been looking forward to in Robeisy Ramirez and Rafael Espinosa. Go ahead.
You know, that's the fight I want to see.
Right.
I want to see Robeisy move up, because Robeisy been I mean, remember, that's the only guy that really, I think he beat Shakur in the Olympics. So
in the Olympics, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I want to see him move up, man. I think that guy is a really good fighter. He has great spark, great energy. He's just like, he doesn't back down. He's willing to get in the fire pit and box. So I want to see him move up 130, where that division is all monstrous with great boxers and a full of talent, like 154, like I was saying earlier. And seeing him move up, maybe Fulton move up, maybe Figueroa moving up. Jeez, man, so many fighters in that division, Clay. Just everybody just getting to 130 and see that start turning into something. Because right now, I think between Raymond Ford and O'Shaquie Foster, I don't think anybody in the division can beat either one of them. I think those are the two top guys in the division, and that looks tough.
Yeah, Lamont Roach is definitely still a player now. I know, you know, I hope Lamont Roach has
I
a
don't
great
know, man.
thing. I know, but you know what's happened, man? Lamont Roach was one of those guys in that division. I remember when the talk was Lamont Roach versus O'Shaquie Foster. I swear to God, I feel like yesterday everybody wanted to see those two guys fight each other. But ever since he's gotten involved in this Tank Davis conversation, it's like people are like sleeping on him.
Nobody cares. Right.
I don't understand that, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna celebrate him. I think he's one of the top guys at 130, and I'm definitely excited to see him finish doing whatever he does with Tank, and you know, getting back to the business that was in front of him there at 130. But I'm hearing rumors also of Rafael Espinosa coming up to 130 after this fight, one way or another, with Robeisy Ramirez. So he'll be up in that division as well. I think 130 has an opportunity. What you guys talking about earlier, talking about 135 being the best division in the game, or, you know, I mean, one of the best divisions in the game. I think 130 is about to be that. I think there's a lot of big fights that are going to be popping off. And like down there, it looks like the big fighters are willing to fight each other. It just looks like it, right?
Right. What's up, J Pitt?
Shaq
got a new logo.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. O'Shaquie Foster, you know, already said that he's heading up to see that fight, and he plans on walking in the ring. You know what I mean? To be there in front, whoever the winner is between Emmanuel Navarrete and Oscar Valdez. Yeah, he's trying to unify. So I mean, it is what it is, right? So that division looks like he has a lot of people. Salute to J Pitt. Oh, listen, J Pitt City. First of all, shout out to J Pitt City. This right here, I'm glad you brought it up, but I'm going to read it first, and then we're going to speak on it, right? He says, I dare Vegas to put Boots as an underdog versus Virgil Ortiz. I will have my condo paid off that night of that fight. Salute to J Pitt City.
Okay.
Listen, so rumor has it that that Vegas may be putting Virgil Ortiz as a favorite in that fight. That people think that Virgil Ortiz is the favorite, right? I thought that was hilarious. And, Blue Blood put out a video on it, how disgusted he was with it, that Boxing News 24 was talking about how Virgil Ortiz was going to be the favorite in this fight. And he thought that was just disingenuous of those guys to speak that way and damn near journalistically and boxing pugilist-wise irresponsible for them to speak that way, just acting like Jaron Boots Ennis isn't Jaron Boots Ennis, right? But I told I told Blue, I said, listen, brother, I need you to pull that video down because I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I don't need nobody talking this fight up any more than it is. I need Vegas to respect what Boxing News 24/7 said. I need those odds to show up as Boots is an underdog because a lot of people who know boxing are going to have an opportunity to make a lot of money that night on that fight if that's how you guys want to carry it. What do you think, Ray?
$500 out my pocket. $500 out my pocket.
You can't leave that money on the floor, bro. That's good money right there, bro.
Yeah, man. And it depends on the odds, because I think that, man, let it be 20-1. Please let it be 20-1, $500.
No, if it's 20-1,
I know
we have a responsibility to put money on that. But I'm saying even a solid 5-1.
Yeah, no, in all seriousness, man. Like, I don't bet, so you know what I mean. But I get it. You know what I mean? That's just crazy. Like, you can't. That's got to be closest. That's got to be one of the closest 50-50 fights you got to imagine, because you just really can't see out of the performances. Like, I always tell, like you actually mentioned it, right? You're only as good as your last fight, and they both had like subpar performances. Right. So, it's really hard to dictate and see how this is going to move. So why would we even? I mean, I wouldn't take a chance on either one of them. Basically dominating the fight. I just see Boots as more the athletic fighter that has a good defense when he needs to have one. And I just see him, like I said, I just see the Roman Villa fight all over again. I do think Virgil has a puncher's chance. I absolutely do. And I think if he can apply the pressure correctly and he can close the gap and keep it mid-range to up close and personal, he can hurt Boots. And that could be a whole different match we're looking at, but I just don't see Boots letting that close down. I think he uses his shoulder movement. I think he switches from southpaw to orthodox to southpaw. The footwork's there, and I think he puts himself in a different mindset because he's fighting a higher division and it's more of a challenge. So he takes it more serious. That's just me, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Shout out to Nine Fingers says I'm putting $5K on Boots winning. Yeah, I know Nine Fingers putting that pew money. He taking that pew money. He said, I'm gonna take my pew money and I'm gonna go double that up real quick. Cause I look, Nine Fingers, I follow you on Instagram. I know what you're doing out there, bro. I know somebody getting ready for the zombie apocalypse out there, bro. I see what's going on out there, bro. So I know he's putting that pew money to good use, right? He's like, I'm gonna triple that up real quick, and we're gonna add some extra features to some of them ARs I'm holding on. And I've been looking at a 308 SOCOM that I've got to get my hands on. And you guys gonna give me those odds. I ain't gonna let that money play out there. I'm gonna go ahead and get that out the way ASAP. Shout out to Now.
Wait, he gonna have a range with a gym in the backyard this time.
Listen, he got plans. He wants to upgrade the whole property. I seen the property. He said, "I'm about to upgrade, put a range on there. I might even get a little archery going on. Pick me up on the boat, get it popping back there. I've been trying to do some improvements, man.
And a full gym with the football thing in the training thing on the side for the sun.
I seen him working, bro. I seen him working. Trust me. But salute to Bullet Gibson in the building, man. Bullet Gibson in the building. Is the sound there with you, Bullet? I don't know. Bullet might be having some.
I know sometimes he be at work, he put it on mute, but that's usually at night.
Yeah, it looks like he's having some technical difficulty. Just tap in whenever you get it together. I'm not going to pull you down. Just say something and we'll let you speak, bro. I'm sure you're trying to figure it out. Let me see here. J Pitt said he's gonna be in the Cybertruck. I hear you, bro.
Cybertruck, man, you can have that.
Listen, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. The Cybertruck is. I'm gonna be real with you. The intrigue and the mystique of that truck makes it something I want to drive around in, but I can't act like I'm very impressed with the aesthetics of that truck. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen, I
can't act like
I
that.
got one around
It's
here,
an ugly
Clay.
truck, bro.
They got
In my opinion, it's ugly.
these rich people around here, in these towns that live by my city. Man, they done got these things all types of colors and rims on them, and I'm like,
Yeah.
man, and they ain't like us. I'm like, yo, look at this, man. These dudes pimping them out, man. These dudes
No,
from the
listen,
other
man.
side of
The intrigue
the
is
other
there.
side of the tracks, man. The guys on the other side of the tracks are really pimping these things out. And when I tell you, I seen a lime green one, man. I done seen purple, all types of shit over here, man.
No,
But yeah,
listen,
it's a ugly. Look,
Cybertruck.
I was about to say it. Thank you, Nine Finger. That's an ugly ass truck. I was about to say that.
Yeah, the truck is not a good looking truck. There's some intrigue behind it because it's so ugly. It's like you kind of want to drive. You know what I'm saying? It's just so damn
hell
ugly
no,
with all the reviews and everything that the
bro.
truck gets. You know, I
That
heard the
shit
truck
look
is like
like
damn near bulletproof. Like I heard it's
yo.
crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it can't even do a tug pull with a Ford F-150, man. They got the whole rear
Yes,
end
it
pulled out
can.
of it. Man, go look at the real video.
I've
Don't look at that
also
fake
seen
one.
another video. I see another
Go
video
look
with
at the
that
go
truck
look at the real
outperforming
one.
airport. What do you mean the real
Okay,
one?
go look at the real video when they really did the pull. Go look what happened.
I mean, it is
It
what it is.
Ford ripped that damn bumper off that shit. The whole rear end came off.
I'll revisit it, I guess. But I've seen that truck
Fiberglass
before.
and carbon fiber everywhere.
Nah, bro, I gotta look at it. I'll watch it again.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I got you.
Yeah, send it for
You gonna be
sure.
like, damn, Ray. Yeah, my son be
But,
watching these cars, man. Like, I ain't gonna lie. So he like me, he watched the car shows. Oh, matter of fact, you know what's dope? Remember I told you I was about to get the Pilot like my wife, man. The new Passport dropping. The new Honda Passport. You know, I'm a Honda guy. And
well,
that
name three
is
summers the baddest
fire.
when they hit. Dang, I spelled his name like the rest of the world. Yeah, I'm saying at the end of the day, there's some intrigue behind it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, I think so.
I don't want one, but I do want to drive one. I want to see what it's all about. I want to see what the big hoopla is.
You
I
just
give
a truck
Elon
guy, man.
I give Elon Musk a lot of credit in being innovative, and I'm interested in see what his vision for pickup trucks is in the future. You know what I mean? This is the prototype. I look at it as whatever this is the foundational version of whatever he plans on building in the future. So I'm interested in seeing what's going on with that truck. There's a lot of intrigue in it. I heard Greg Hackett talk about it too. Craig said, I don't care what nobody says, man. I want to get me a Cybertruck. He's like, all his money he's saving, all his money he's getting on his channel to get a Cybertruck. JP City, you missed me. Texas 16. Clay, what you drive a monster truck? No, I don't drive a monster truck. I just got a 1500, man. It's a Dodge Ram. We got some big tires on it. I ain't gonna like it don't. I got some big tires on it. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, man.
But she's sitting high. She's sitting high. She's not
Honda
high,
Passport.
high enough.
Yo, go look at that new Honda Passport, Clay. Go take a sneak peek, man.
Brother, I cannot drive a Dodge Ram 1500 and be talking about no damn Honda Passport. I'm trying to tell you, bro.
Okay. Why you keep thinking these cars are small, man? That thing is.
I just can't do it. My truck is
off road. It's off road.
It's just
Okay.
kind of like a gas guzzler.
Listen.
It's a gas guzzler. It's mean. She got a loud engine. Sounds like a school bus coming down the road. You know what I mean?
That's
I got
a problem.
the turbo. I ain't gonna lie. I can't go from that into something. I got to go up. You know what I mean? I can't go down. And my next.
Oh, you gotta go up.
Truck,
oh, so you
2500 or better. You know what I mean? 2500 or better, man. Ideally,
this guy wants the dually. This guy wants the dualies, guys. He want to be. He want to be like.
I don't mind.
You want to be like that. Look. You want to be like Officer Riggs pulling down houses and lethal weapons.
Yo, all that, bro. I want the grill on it. I'm telling you, bro. I want all that. When I get my 2500, because that's definitely gonna happen. The question is whether the 3500 is gonna happen. But when I get my 2500, I'm definitely putting the bullhorn on there. I'm definitely putting the truck horn on there. That's definitely gonna happen.
Shit,
That's
you might put the damn the steer horns on the top too. Shit.
Listen, I don't know. I'm stupid like that. I'm ignorant. I'm simple-minded. When it come to that truck, my baby doing a 17 miles a gallon proudly. You heard? Yeah.
Make sure you rock that damn safari Australian hat when you there, not the real cowboy hat. That damn Australian version when you out there too. I know what you like, Clay. Scaring me a little bit, brother.
Your bullet with the listen. I don't even want to put out my business out here, but I'm stupid out here, bro. I'm really on some different time, bro. It's really a whole zombie apocalypse thing going on over here, Margaret. Yo, shout out to Bullet Gibson. Are you in the building? Can you speak yet, Bullet? Or
yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah,
yeah.
You tapped in. What's good with you, family?
Okay. Well, first off, am I clear? Because my shit be acting crazy sometimes.
No, you're clear right now. I'll let you know if it changes, but right now you're definitely clear.
All right, man. Peace and blessings to all y'all boys. You already know, man. That's
Yes,
first
sir.
and foremost. Y'all boys putting on, man. I like y'all show for sure.
Oh
Um,
man, thank you.
I think Boots. I ain't. I don't know if he's a stop Virgil. I don't know because Virgil got a good chin. Virgil could take a good shot. He actually come forward pretty well. He stayed behind his jab. He got decent footwork. He moves pretty well. And he comes at angles when he behind the body shots. I just like Boots' ability to roll with shots. He roll with shots pretty good. He take good angles. He dip under shots when he need to. He go to the body. He's also a body snatcher. Both guys are body snatcher, but I think Boots got a better jab. I believe he has longer arm reach and he has more active feet. He's pretty good at leading with an uppercut as well. Sometimes when he have to pull that out of his bag, I just feel like Boots' power will surprise Virgil early, and I think Virgil power will surprise Boots, but like later on in the fight. But we'll have to see how Boots' chin hold up because Virgil coming with some stuff. But I
Mhm.
just see Boots having a real good chin. He could take a good shot. He roll with the shot, and he dip under. And so I just feel eventually Boots might, Boots gonna start putting it on him, and then Virgil gonna start. He gonna start trying to be patient with his shots because Boots got real power. The guy he just fought before, the Bakram guy, he did not. It was not Bakram. Was it Bakram that
You
Virgil
talking
just fought?
Boots versus
Nah, Virgil.
Bahachuk. It was Serhi
Yeah,
Bahachuk.
Burchuk.
Bohachuk, yeah. I don't really think he has like crazy power like that. But he knocked Virgil down. I see Boots as having like crazy power. He just flashy with his shots. He throw
Hmm.
flashy shots. So a lot of times it's like, especially with
I think he was gonna say he catches him off balance when the way he punches, but
Yeah, I
he
don't know
kind
if
of broke up.
Bullet looked like he might have hit a dead spot. Let's bring in Big Dre in the building. Long time no see, Big Dre. Big boy. What you doing in the truck
What up,
too?
What's
Dre?
going on? What's going on, fellas? I just wanted to hop up and say happy holidays. Y'all were talking about Boots and 147, and I think if he has the opportunity to go ahead and clean out 147, now that people think he's human. At 147, people thought he was just,
The
uh,
Terminator. He
yeah,
was
the
made out
Terminator.
of
He was just too
titanium
much.
metal, right?
They thought he was just too much. And Karen came in and showed he is human after all, and um, maybe put out there um, the illusion that Boots can be beat at 147. Now everybody wants to step up, and I think it's time to go ahead out there, and because he made the announcement that he wants to be undisputed at 147. Um, that made everybody say, "Well, you want to be undisputed? You want to fight me? I was willing to fight for X before, but we got to go step up to Y." Because you have a goal and you need it. And I think that's the reason why people said that his offers were low and the responses came back the way that they did. Um, Now that's just my opinion, and I could be wrong, but I think it's a valid theory, um,
Mhm.
and I think if he really wants to do it, now is the time. Strike while the iron's hot. He may go ahead and do this fight with Virgil at Riyadh season at whatever the weight may be, um, and then go back and handle your business at 147. Go back and do what you really want to do.
Mm.
And I think it's yeah. I mean, look. I'm gonna say like this, Big Dre. It's there for him. It seems at the end of the day. The question is whether or not he wants to step up to the challenge because man, look, it's going to be interesting to see how Eddie Hearn, Boots, how they manage this opportunity because if he jumps into this fight at 154, there's going to be an interim title on the line between him and Virgil, right? So he's going to be walking around on the back end of a victory. with Virgil Ortiz. He will be the WBC interim champion, but more importantly, he'll also be there as a mandatory to whoever's holding that title at the time, who right now presently Sebastian Fundora, or whoever wins in between Sebastian Fundora and Errol Spence, right? If they ever do finally fight. It puts him in a peculiar situation. I'm curious as to how the IBF feels about it, as far as if he goes up there and he competes at 154 and he gets himself a title, does he forfeit or does he keep his IBF championship at 147? Eddie Hearns kind of spoke to it a little bit in an interview where he kind of said he didn't want to see Boots forfeit that IBF title because, like you said, it's no secret that people think he's human now, right? There's fighters who weren't talking so confidently before who are coming out of the woodworks now talking very, very confidently about what they think they can do with Boots Ennis, and now the opportunities seem to be there for him to unify, maybe call me a dreamer, chase undisputed even, right, at 147. And him and BO0GIE made it very clear how they felt about that. So yeah, there's an opportunity there that looks like it wasn't there before the Karen fight, and Boots has to make up his mind if he wants to take advantage of that and what's the actual cost going to be. I think that had a lot to do with what we saw as far as Eddie Hearn trying to get Virgil to come to 147. People were like, that's diabolical. You know that man can't make that weight in the healthy weight. Eddie, you know you ain't right for that. But I don't think Eddie was looking at it like that, right? I think Eddie was like, listen, man, I'm trying to protect my fighter's best interest. So I want him to get this payday. I want him to be on this big card in Riyadh season, but I'm not necessarily comfortable with him going up to 154 and then cutting weight to come back to 147, being that Boots communicated that maybe the rehydration clauses, maybe the weight cut is starting to get to him a little bit and kind of starting to put a ceiling on his performance level on what he can do in that division. So I think there's a lot of intangibles there, a lot of things that they got to go ahead and weigh out as far as what's more important. But I'm be honest with you. I've been one of those guys. If you've been watching me and listening to me, I've been campaigning for Boots to go to 154 for a long time now. But that was mostly based on the idea that those opportunities weren't there for him at 147. Now that those opportunities are there, there is a little bit of bittersweetness to it that I'm hearing Boots talk what I want him to talk, but now I'm starting to feel a little bad because, like, damn, now 147 is kind of jumping. I kind of don't want you to miss out on what you want to do. I think those are all great fights, but at the same time, when opportunity knocks, right, what do you do?
Well, I wasn't aware that there was an interim title involved with this 154 fight with Virgil. So that makes all the difference in the world, because if there's an interim title at 154, yeah, go ahead, step up, get it, and make your presence known at 140 and 154, and do your thing. Because, like you said, the IBF restrictions at 147, he has mentioned that they are sort of a hindrance for him staying. But unification bouts don't have that hindrance. So it allows him to be more of himself at 147. And I think that's, you know, it would be definitely be advantageous if he went ahead and took on this Norman fight, because they know what it's going to cost now.
Right.
They know what it's going to cost. They know what he wants, and they know that's where they need to start. Now, they might have to sweeten the pot a little bit, but I don't think it'll have to be much.
Can I add something to this when you're done, Big Dre? Go ahead.
Sure. Go ahead, man.
How about we do a bittersweet scenario? How about we see Boots does go up. You know what I mean? And he can still drop that title, keep his LBF or whatever the case may be, because he be somebody in position to get it back. That's one thing. And also if he goes back down, because I heard Clay not complaining, but stating that it could be a problem him moving up and down the weight. When a fighter does do that, he does have to take time off. He can't just go back in the ring in a normal 3-month period. He would have to probably take a full 6 months to get acclimated back to that weight in that division. And then him fighting, maybe he just has to unify. He goes back down, he unifies, he likes what he did up there at 154, and then he moves right back up. He doesn't necessarily have to be undisputed at that division. Just grabbing one more belt just says something, you know, and that puts you in a legacy status of the division because you have multiple belts, and you become somebody. Now you move up, you let them guys fight it out at that division, and then you can go up there and campaign. Because if you get the right title, you can move in the right position, and that's really what it's all about: is moving into the right position with the right people. So we hope at the end of the day that something like that will be able to be uh, 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 generated in the eyes of Boots and maybe persuaded by Eddie Hearn. Because I think unification can trump the undisputed situation there, especially if he dominates the champion at 154, 147, and everybody gets back on their horse and backs up. You know, so that might be the best case scenario in my opinion. I don't know if Bullet Gibson came back either, but you know, I just wanted to say that's a good point you guys are making. I just thought I'd throw some different perspective on it.
Oh, that's a definitely an interesting perspective. Because see, if he goes up and gets this interim title, and then whether or not he drops his title at 147, and he decides that he wants to go back down to 147 and chase unification or undisputed, or and you're right, depending upon how he goes in his first unification bout. People might say, "Oh, he is who we thought he was." Yeah, that's all right. I'm gonna raise my number and price myself out because I don't want that smoke. He gets to go back to 154 and do what he needs to do at 154.
Yeah. I mean, look, decisions, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. It's a great thing for a fighter to have as many opportunities, especially when you look at Jerron Boots Ennis and just know that it did seem like his opportunities were very limited for a long time. You might have felt bad for him a little bit to be like, all right, man, damn, man, it's kind of messed up. This talented fighter, doesn't seem to want to jump on the radar of any of these great fights. These fighters are finding ways to get around him. Well, now he has some money behind him with Turkey Al-Sheikh. He has a new promotion, and obviously with this performance that people are saying that he's just a regular person, which I think blessings come in disguise, right? When God moves, when he works, sometimes it looks ugly, but at the end of the day, it turns out to be maybe the best thing that could have happened for a fighter like Boots Ennis, who just offered nothing but risk for a lot of fighters. And now they're looking at it like, okay, there's money there with Eddie Hearn, but also look, I think I can get at him. I saw Karen do something with him. I think I can, box this guy, maybe potentially win. But now, so he has all the options at 147 there. That may be there. We don't know that they're for sure there, but the talking in the boxing space seems to be leaning towards people getting a little more comfortable with putting something together with Boots. But then you got this 154 division that's grown in such a crazy way, where Turkey's found interest in the division. He wants to get involved in the division. He currently is involved. He has Terrence Crawford there. Obviously, he brought Oscar De La Hoya over, so now Virgil Ortiz, and I'm trying to get Jerron Boots Ennis to be in that division, just because of how you can't fight a non-competitive fight damn near at 154. The whole division is stacked, and everybody wants to see Jerron there. The top dollar is also there for him to get paid if he goes in that division. So it's great. It's great for Boots Ennis because he has so many options, but the decisions, because it does seem as he's making decisions, he's also starting to negate other opportunities. As he's making more decisions, that involves the side effect of those decisions is the other opportunities kind of fall to the side a little bit or lose a little bit a luster on them, a little bit of shine on those opportunities. So it's going to be interesting to see him do whatever he's going to do. You know what I mean? I'm excited to see him make a move one way or the other, but like I said, bittersweet, because I thought 154 was going to be the end all be all, but look, 147 looks like it's getting a second wind of sorts in Jerron Boots Ennis's path. You're mute. You're mute. You're muted. I'll unmute you. Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
I did it. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
My earbud died, so it shut me off. The Barrios has said that he's willing, he's ready and willing and able to jump in here and do this thing. So, and Brian Norman Jr. With all the smack that they talked, if the opportunity comes back around, they can't duck now. I mean, it's it makes for a especially if Eddie comes with the number that they mentioned and starts there, and there should be absolutely no way out of that fight. So, like I said, it's an interesting opportunity, and you got to make some decisions. I want to see him fight no matter who he fights, whether it be at 47 or 54. I like to see him fight. You know, he puts on a good show, and I really like to see it. So,
Yeah, I agree with you, Big Dre.
Right, and Clay, I don't see the Barrios fight happening at 154 because, like I said, his last paycheck on the MVP card was just so much. I don't see anybody giving him the money to fight for a championship fight in that sense of upwards of $45 to $5 million for that fight. I just don't see it. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Hopefully they
man.
don't duck that fight though.
Who?
Barrios, he say they ready, but hopefully they don't try to hide behind that PBC umbrella stuff. Make it seem like they're not
They're
getting
hiding
enough
a little
money.
bit.
That's what they trying to do.
They're gonna hide. He's gonna try to make it happen with Stanionis, but it's all good though. As long as the unification fights are happening up there, I just think like the hungry legacy version of all these fighters, if they can get paid for the legacy, it's hard to turn down, right? So Mario Barrios, getting a unification fight with Stanionis, if either one of them win and become a unified champion in the division, if the money's there, the stage is there, it's going to be hard for them to turn away Boots at some point, because if you want to become undisputed, you got to fight him. But at the same time, Boots is on his last legs at 147. He's not there to be just fighting mandatories no more. Fighting underneath that IBF rehydration clause is a pain in his ass right now. That's what he's saying, and I believe him, because when you see him on the scale, you can see it. When on the weigh-ins, you see it. You see the cheekbones. You see how he's looking. You know what I'm saying? And you can't help but be like, I don't care what he says, because he's going to tell you what he's supposed to say, which is, man, I can make the weight. It don't matter. I'll make the weight's nothing for me. Whatever, bro. We're looking at you. The same thing with Jalil Hackett, man. I ain't going to lie to you, man.
God.
I want to see Jalil go 154, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think he can do it.
I know. Look, he does 147. He fights well 147. I'm excited to see this kid develop. I just know he's the goods, right? But you can't help but see the white foam around his mouth the day before the fight. You can't help but see the cheekbones get sucked in and be like, look, man, you a big dude. I remember I got a chance to ask him a question on Mill City. And he laughed and he said, that's a great question, bro. I ain't going to even lie to you. He said, man, I'm ready to go all the way up. He said he can see himself going as far as like 168 one day. He said he's not going to lie. Yep. He said he can see it happening. So he's excited himself to go 154. But look, the game plan is a game plan, right? He's at 147 doing what he wants to do, but you can't help. If you love boxing and you watch it like I do, you know whatever you've seen at 147 is going to be that much better at 154. You just know it is with him. You know what I mean? The same thing with Jerron.
Yeah, I talked to Jalil at a local fight here a couple of months ago, and just kind of hanging out. He said that, he really wants to get him a major strap at 47 before he decides to do whatever. But, if the opportunity presents itself, moving up might not be the worst thing in the world. So,
right. I mean, you got eyes, Dre. You know what you see. Like, he looks good at one way, but 154. We want to see some 154 action. We want to see him in that hornet's nest up there at 154. We don't mind seeing Jalil up there.
Go ahead, Bullet. I know you have some things you
wait though.
Wait, no, let Dre respond to that a little bit, because I know Dre has hands-on knowledge. He's not going to share but so much, even though I'm going to pick at him and see if I can get him to say something he ain't supposed to say. But at the end of the day, I happen to know what I know. I know what I know, and that's why. Go ahead, though. I'm going to be bad. Stay on your game. Stay on protocol.
I'm going back on. I'm going to listen. I got some running around to do.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to listen. And that way I can't open my mouth and say nothing I ain't supposed to.
I'm sitting here. I know what I'm doing. Trust me. I watch. I'm outside.
Listen, I like I said, I was at one of the local fights here, and he was there with his dad. And I like to go to local fights. It's just what I like to do because I like boxing. I like to see it live as much as possible. And see how I ain't got the budget to run to Vegas and New York and Miami, yeah, live and local. That's me, man, all day long. For $50, I can get in the door.
Yeah.
Ain't got a hotel room or nothing.
Exactly.
So, like I said, I just happened to be there. He was there. And I met him in Philadelphia after he fought in Philly on the Boots card. So we sort of had a mini rapport. We had met each other in person before. So walking up to him and talking to him was comfortable. So we were able to have a conversation. And like I said, he said he wanted to get a major strap in 47. So
yeah, I believe him. I know that's what he wants to do, and that's probably what they're going to try to do. It looked like they were trying to push it a little bit with Brian Norman a little bit, that they were hoping to be able to kind of trick him into signing off on a fight a little earlier than they wanted to sign off on it. I don't know how much closer they got to it. It seemed like Senior and Jalil Hackett's father seemed to kind of be on the same page a little bit, like they could have possibly happened, but without a doubt, it had been high risk, low reward for Brian Norman. So that's a big risk of getting there with Jalil, who's, for all argument's sake, a prospect, still in the division and to be a champion. But if they would have gave that opportunity, but you could tell, I read people and I know that I just felt like Jalil Hackett and his father were like, if we can go ahead and get this little title out the way right quick and get it from Brian, we want to go to 154. I feel in my heart, I feel like they just don't want to leave without that strap. If they were able to knock that out right quick and Brian Norman was a bite on that worm and gave him that opportunity, we might see Jalil Hackett at 154 by the end of 2025 or early 2026. What do you say?
Yeah, man, if they were able to get that, lined up, I think that might happen,
Right.
It could very well be because, like I said, he seen that was one thing that was in his on his wish list. He had a wish list, man.
Listen, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. But we as fans, we're excited to see what they're going to do next, and we'll watch close, and that's where we'll get the real news, right? We'll get the hindsight news is always better than the foresight, but we all can wish Big Dre and hope that he moves in a way. Whatever, it is what it is. Let me answer this question real quick here. Secret Dance Move said, Clay, who's your boxer of 2024? Man, that's going to be coming up. I'm going to be doing a New Year's show where we're going to be talking about all that stuff, right? We're going to be talking about boxer of the year, fight of the year, comeback of the year, prospect of the year, all types of the years is going to be popping up. But I'm going to give you, I'll answer this and say like this. I'm looking at a couple of fighters right now as far as fight of the year is concerned, but one of the guys that is definitely on the list right now, and I'm not saying he is the fighter of the year for me, but I am going to give Daniel Dubois a lot of flowers right now and say that guy has impressed me a lot this year. His ability to come back from where he started from in the year with that, from the loss of Joe Joyce, from the stoppage by Alexander Usyk, and a lot of people thought he won that fight in his own right, but he ended up getting stopped at the end of the day. To be able to come back from that with a Jarrell Big Baby Miller at the end of last year to Philip Ergovich this year, and then honestly beat up Anthony Joshua the way he did to become an IBF champion and now being considered one of the top heavyweights in the division right now, the most dangerous heavyweight fighter in the division damn near right now. I think that's not only fighter of the year candidate, but comeback of the year candidate. I'm not saying that he is my type fighter though, because I have a couple other people on the list as well, but I'll just give you that and just say that, I'm looking at fighters like that right now. Anybody got a fighter of the year they're looking at on the panel?
No, not yet. But do you have, is your list pretty much, you pretty much whittling it down before the Usyk Fury card, or you going to wait till after the Usyk Fury card before you?
No, it's going to include it. Obviously, I'm not going to lie to you, being that it's coming up in December. I'm actually waiting on that. I'm happy you asked that question. I am waiting on it a little bit, but I definitely got some fighters on that list, man. We got a lot of fighters who stood out this year. I mean, even Keyshawn in his own right can get spoken about. Very, he had a great year. This year as far as where he's at from where he started the year off. So go ahead.
I got two guys on the list. That's going to be Bam Rodriguez and Abdullah Mason. I just seen Abdullah, who just took fight after fight, month after month, staying active, putting on so many fights in a year. coming adversity, striking and getting a knockout. That in itself, it says a lot. Then you figure, I mean, I know there are a lot of prospect fights, but it's still him fighting, right? He's still a boxer. As far as Ben Rodriguez, man, that guy's been turning up a soil, man. He's got people in their grave flipping over, cheering this guy on, man. This guy is really a special boxer. And I think we see nothing but the greatest coming out of him. He might be pound for pound #1 in the next year or two. Bam is just probably that dude, bro. On the real. What's up, CJ? Salute.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of fighters, bro. I mean, I'm be real with you. All those guys on Usyk is definitely on the list, 100%. He's right there. And I'm trying my best not to give away who I'm really leaning towards, but I'm just kind of letting you know that the feelers are out there. I'm watching these fighters. There's a lot of fighters who've caught my eye this year, who've done some great things this year. And, you know, Abdullah Mason, like you said, with the activity this year, he's more so on my prospect of the year. No, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm just gonna tell you straight up. He's prospect of the year for me. I'm not gonna even give that no hold up. He just prospect of the year. It is what it is. Fighter of the year. Does he make it on there? He could be on that list 100% for how active he's been. But at the same time, I kind of like reserve that for the contenders and kind of let him have the prospect of the year thing. But he's definitely in a conversation. Impressive fighter. So many different fighters that I got on. I'm telling you right now, I got a lot, bro. I'm gonna tell you, I got a solid 5. Easy right now that's on the list easily and even more, but a solid 5 that is going to be like, damn, hold up. Daniel's one of them. Keyshawn is one of them. Alexander Usyk is one of them. I also Bam Rodriguez.
No need to give out the list now, man. Keep us waiting.
Yeah, we're gonna hold it. Yeah, hold it. I was sitting there. Look, they put you on. He said you on the cliffhanger, bro.
No doubt.
Yeah,
no, it's gonna be a great show. That show, I hope everybody shows up.
I want to watch that end of the year show. You know, when we really get these names out there, and really putting pen to paper, because you know, a couple of these fighters they still got a fight left this year, and you know, because we still got a couple of cards out there. I think the Usyk Fury card is the last card of this last meaningful card of the season. And you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, we got some fights. We got some fights, some cards coming up. December 7th, next weekend is gonna be a great weekend of fights. We've got Top Rank putting out that Robesi Ramirez, Rafael Espinosa 2 out there. We've got Oscar Valdez and Emmanuel Navarrete. We've got Liam Paro. We've got Liam Paro and Richard Hitchinson as well next weekend. We got some fights next week, man. And of course,
why is that even a rematch, man? Why is that even a rematch? That guy got literally. It's like somebody hog tied him to a pickup and dragged him through the damn dirt, jumped some cliffs with him, split him around a few times, hog tied him and threw him in the woods, dragged him through some shark tanks, and then. Yo, Oscar,
you know it wasn't
Oscar
that
Valdez does not
He's just doing a
deserve.
little too hard right now. He's just doing a little too much.
Nah,
Every time
he
we talk
don't.
about this fight, we gotta have this conversation. It's not that serious.
Man,
It's gonna be a
someone
good
a
fight.
soapbox and just started going for it, man.
Yo, he didn't have to do all that, right, Gray? It just wasn't that serious.
He don't deserve that. He don't deserve that fight, man. He should have moved up. Listen, I promise you, I would have much rather seen Oscar Valdez move up to 135 and start challenging for. I think it would have made a better move than rematch this guy who literally. He like stomped him like he was in the yard, bro. Like, for real.
Anyway, on that note,
listen, I gotta go, fellas.
Yeah,
y'all
me
have
too.
a happy holiday. I'll check
All
in
right,
with
man.
you
Thanks,
again
Big
before the
J.
end of the year. You know, keep pushing forward and keep on growing, man.
Absolutely. And listen, thank you guys for representing today, Big Dre, man. The JBT came through. Much respect. I mean, I was over there yesterday, you know, with Hardcore. I shouted you guys out, you know what I mean? In all due respect, we like what you guys are doing over there. And we just want to shout you out. And we might have to use that commercial voice you got to do some commercials over here, Big Dre. What do you say?
Hey, man,
I ain't got enough money for you. Yeah, I was gonna say we ain't got enough money for you, Big Dre. You know, you charge a lot.
Salute to everybody over there.
If you ask right, you can get me done on the cheap, man. You know, if I ain't got 2 nickels to rub together.
You don't know the JBT don't do the pause game over there, but they're grown folks over there. Don't do that.
I know. I understand, but that was all right, brother.
Yo, salute to everybody in the building, man. Salute to everybody who showed up today. Salute to everybody in the super chat. Much love to everybody from 2 Cents to Texas 16 to Big Dre to J Pit City, the 9 Fingers to the grassroots to the love, right? You know what I'm saying? We can go all the way back to Big Play Bray, JR Spot, you know what I'm saying? Bullet Gibson, J Pit City. I'm just scanning through here, but I mean, you guys are scattered all through here. Eastside Easy, Frequent Flyer in the building, Hunter Young, you know what I'm saying? Kawaii Elliott, Great Gambino. Man, salute to all you guys.
Here for boxing.
Here for boxing.
Yeah.
I can do it all day, right?
No.
Yeah.
What do you mean? He's a good dude, man.
Yeah, Box is my guy, bro.
That's he's a good dude, man. He's a good guy, man.
100%.
He's a good guy.
I got 3 people on my list that, you know, that I just don't get along with.
You're right.
Here for boxing, boxing hacker, and Truth.
Oh,
I'm
man.
sorry.
Oh, well, Truth, listen, Truth is his own person. I like Truth. Truth is, let me give you some respect. I respect all these guys, right? Boxing Hack is very intelligent, but he dances around stuff to give you a point, and I like it because it gives you a good perspective. But he's pretty on the money, right? Here for boxing is very good.
Boxing Hacker is always a contrarian. He's going to pick the opposite point of whatever argument is out there.
That's why
he's going to run with
it. Listen, that's what it is. That's what it's all about. You got to go against the grain.
That's the main thing he does. He brings the other side. He's going to find the way. I like all those guys you just said, man. But shout out
good conversationist.
Shout out to everybody, man. You know what it is. We'll be back here Monday night, and then you know we do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 10:30 in the morning. Shout out to the JBT. Shout out to the other platforms out there that are keeping it boxing, talking about world championship boxing. I emphasize world championship boxing. Nothing but love, man. And we're gonna catch you guys on the next one. At this point, yeah,
we out.
Yeah.
They hate when you elevate. The stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They when you elevate. The stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them